Chapter 2108. Yes, at this time, the true feelings of the various forces could only be described with one word: envy, jealousy, and hatred. What they had been pursuing was just an opportunity to advance to the ranks of the overlords. Compared to the boundless and endless Tao proving, this was actually something that was more likely to happen. Among the mythical peak, it was rare to step into the Tao validation realm. Although many people regarded the Tao validation realm as their lifelong goal, they had never really hoped for it. Their biggest goal was to bring their own forces into the ranks of the overlords. If they succeeded, they would certainly be able to leave their names in history and exist forever. However, the requirements to achieve this were too harsh. If they could recruit Yi Shiwen earlier, they might still have a chance. However, there was no chance now. On the other hand, the human race did not have to do anything, yet they could pick up such an advantage. This made them envious, jealous, and hateful. It was simply a good thing that fell from the sky. However, everyone also knew that with the rise of the human race and Yi Shiwen, the collision with the Heaven Wasteland Palace and the Divine Union would probably become more intense. Yi Shiwen was not to be trifled with. But was the Heaven Wasteland Palace and the Divine Union easy to provoke? Thinking of this, many people were a little gloating. No matter what, the rise of the human race had just begun. Yi Shiwen had already completely immersed himself in closed-door training. He was using the 5 elements Qian Yuan diagram and the yin-yang life and death diagram to protect himself. Moreover, Yi Mo was personally guarding outside. Naturally, no one would come to disturb him. After Yi Mo crushed his spirit incarnation, the Divine Union did not come to find trouble with him, as everyone had expected. The reason was that the backbone of the Divine Union, the Divine Union's leader, was now completely immersed in the group of God's tombs and could not rush back for a while. Moreover, the group of God's tombs was more important than the matter here. If he could advance further and step into the Tao validation realm, no matter how many people there were, it would not be enough. The Heaven Wasteland Palace had also learned their lesson from the Divine Union and did not dare to find trouble with Yi Shiwen. This also brought Yi Shiwen a rare period of peace. At least, they would not act rashly before they obtained enough power to kill Yi Mo. At this time, Yi Shiwen was completely immersed in his cultivation. He was completely immersed in that mysterious space. As time passed, he increasingly discovered that this mysterious space was very mystical. At least, Yi Shiwen hadn't been able to unravel it so far. What was it? However, this did not prevent him from using this mysterious space, but it would consume a huge amount of Xiandan. But for the current him, Xiandan were not the only thing he lacked. Just by uprooting the Heavenly Fox clan, the human race had plundered 300 billion Xiandan worth of wealth, most of which included real estate, various power techniques, and so on. However, there were also hundreds of billions of Xiandan, and he had taken half of them. So, it was not an exaggeration to say that he had become as rich as a country overnight. To use this analogy, for an ordinary expert at the peak of the profound death realm, having millions of Xiandan meant that he was one of the wealthiest people. For a legend expert, having tens of millions of Xiandan was already considered well off. Many legendary masters had saved up hundreds of millions of Xiandan in their lifetime. In other words, 50 billion Xiandan was almost the entire net worth of hundreds of legendary masters. One could well imagine how exaggerated this amount of wealth was. If he didn't do this kind of extermination work, then relying on himself to slowly accumulate wealth, he didn't know when he would be able to accumulate such a huge amount of wealth. Apart from him, the human race had suddenly become a lot more affluent after obtaining so much wealth. Once these Xiandan were transformed into strength, the strength of the human race would rise to a higher level. Even Yi Shiwen could not help but sigh. Sure enough, a horse would not get fat without grass at night. He had painstakingly condensed Xiandan, but he would not be able to accumulate so many in his lifetime. Although he had used up millions of Xiandan while comprehending the Tao in the mysterious space, which made his heart ache, he was now rich and overbearing. So, he did not care about this. In fact, if these 50 billion could be transformed into strength in an instant, he would use it without even blinking his eyes. He had continuously devoured the blood essence of the experts at the 5th and 7th layer of the Pawang realm. This had allowed his energy reserves to increase by a lot. However, he did not pursue a direct breakthrough. Instead, he began to comprehend a deeper level of martial arts. This was more important than anything else. At the same time, during this battle, he had increasingly realized that the martial arts he had mastered could display astonishing power in his hands. However, it was only because of his own amazing strength. Just like the common Taizu's long fist, when used by Qiao Feng, could display astonishing power in a one-on-one battle. Simply put, Yi Shiwen's battle was completely relying on his extraordinary strength. There was no technical content at all. This had not been a big deal in the past. However, as his strength continued to increase, the enemies he encountered had also become increasingly powerful. He had gradually begun to feel the strain. Even so, it was unknown how much time was needed to deduce and comprehend a martial art to be perfected. For ordinary people, they could only rely on time to slowly grind. However, Yi Shiwen had another method, which was to rely on this mysterious space. Previously, he had been lacking enough Xiandong, which were just enough for him to cultivate. In the end, he was still lacking time. If he was given another 1,000 years, he could guarantee that his strength would be many times more tyrannical than it was now. However, would the Abyssal Demon Master give him time? Although Yi Mo's exit had reduced the pressure on him, the Abyssal Demon Master, the Divine Union Leader, and the Wasteland Temple Master were all veteran experts at the peak of the mythical realm. They could enter the Undying Realm at any time. If they really succeeded, the consequences would be unimaginable. Therefore, he did not relax. Instead, he became even more nervous. He did not have much time, so he could only use Xiandong to exchange for more time. Previously, he had not dared to do so because he lacked enough Xiandong. Now, he did not have such scruples. He directly ignited a large number of Xiandong and began to comprehend. Yi Shiwen was standing in a mysterious space in the void. Around him, all sorts of laws turned into talismans that floated in the air, visible to the naked eye. Laws that were extremely difficult for ordinary people to comprehend were, to him, as long as he had enough spiritual energy, he could comprehend them at any time, as if they were right in front of him. In the past, he had not understood why he could comprehend laws so quickly after entering this space. However, how could he not understand now? He was afraid that he had been pulled into this space in the form of a spirit. For a martial artist, the death of the physical body was not considered real death. Only the destruction of the spirit was considered real death. The spirit was the root of everything. If a martial artist wanted to cross the sea of bitterness and reach the shore of eternal life, the physical body was like a boat that protected people from drowning in the sea of bitterness. This was a positive aspect. However, on the other hand, the stronger the physical body, the tighter the seal would be. It would be harder for the spirit to come into contact with the heavenly law. Naturally, the efficiency would be twice the effort with half the result. From this point of view, there was a reason why the Buddhists said that the physical body was a stinky bag. Now that he had been pulled into this mysterious space in the form of a spirit, it was tantamount to getting rid of the stinky bag that was hindering his comprehension. Moreover, these martial arts principles had appeared in front of him in such a clear manner. It would be very difficult for him to not progress quickly. It was just that ordinary people did not dare to easily leave their physical body. Even if he had cultivated to this level and his spirit was incomparably powerful, it was still weak compared to his physical body. If it was not necessary, it was impossible to leave his physical body. As long as the spirit left the physical body, it would immediately have a feeling of drowning. It was like a person in the boundless sea without the protection of a boat. It could be destroyed at any time in the endless sea of bitterness. Even if the spirit became stronger and stronger and later learned to swim, this feeling would still not change. It was like a person in the sea. There were too many natural disasters and monsters that could kill them. In the world, there were too many nemesis of the spirit. If one was not careful, it was possible to fall into a ditch. Just like those ghost cultivators, although some of them were also very powerful, They did not dare to walk around easily. Otherwise, they would not even know how they died. He used to think that the mysterious space could deduce martial arts incomparably magical. But now he really discovered that every time he entered the mysterious space in the form of a spirit, he did not feel the slightest discomfort. It felt as if he was inside his physical body. The spirit could leave the physical body without any reservation and come into contact with the heavenly way. Coupled with the ability to deduce martial arts, this was the most magical aspect of this mysterious space. It was also the fundamental reason why he had been able to make such rapid progress so far. The surrounding principles transformed into talismans as Yi Shiwen waved his hand unceasingly. These talismans were like a long dragon, and unceasingly poured into his body. Directly comprehending the principles of these heavenly way laws made him feel as if he was ascending every minute and every second. He did not need to worry about the consumption of Xiandong and could comprehend the heavenly way to his heart's content. This feeling was naturally the best. As he devoured countless law talismans, he only felt that his realm was improving at an astonishing speed. He felt as if he had been reborn. Although the specific martial arts realm did not improve, but he could feel that he was transforming bit by bit, just like the transformation of a dragon and snake. Chapter 2109. In addition to comprehending the heavenly way, he was trying his best to deduce more martial arts. He now also needed more martial arts that could determine the outcome. He now had a lot of god-level martial arts, but they were not fully deduced to the extreme. For example, he only deduced 2 seals, Hantan seal and inverted C seal. Among the 3 seals, Hantan seal naturally represented the ultimate stance. 1 seal would overturn the world. This was the true power of Hantan seal. Although the seal of Hantan seal had been obtained for a long time, he had not really deduced it. Compared with the consumption of deducing Hantan seal and inverted C seal, it was simply incomparable. But similarly, if he could deduce Hantan seal, the power of the 3 seals would be the greatest. It could even reach an amazing level. In front of him, on his left and right sides, there were 2 seals floating, completely manifesting. In front of him, a chaotic seal was gradually forming, slowly, as if it was about to form. More and more law talismans poured into Yi Shiwen's body. His understanding of the heavenly way was also getting deeper and deeper, and this seal was also getting clearer and clearer. This was Yi Shiwen's trump card, Hantan seal. Only when the last seal was condensed, the power of Hantan seal could be exerted to the extreme. Whether it was the Hantan seal, the sea-reversing seal, or the sky-flipping seal, their power was different and each had its focus, but in general they were not too strong. The real tyrannical thing was that after the 3 seals were cultivated, the power would be multiplied exponentially. Time passed by, he did not know how much time had passed. The power of the 3 seals of Hantan seal was great, but at the same time, the difficulty of comprehending the final Hantan seal would also increase exponentially. He did not know how much time had passed, and the Hantan seal in front of him gradually took shape. Up! In that space, Yi Shiwen shouted loudly, and the Hantan seal in front of him suddenly surged directly. Suddenly, the entire world seemed to collapse, and it all exploded in front of this seal. This Hantan seal, I have finally cultivated it. Yi Shiwen slowly breathed a sigh of relief. In the process of practicing overturning the sky seal, he had gained a lot of insights. At his level of cultivation, there were many things that he could comprehend by analogy. Practicing overturning the sky seal had also greatly improved his martial arts perception. And as he successfully cultivated Hantan seal, another piece of information appeared in his mind. Although this Hantan seal was a martial art, it had not yet reached its maximum potential. He still had a magic tool. If he could condense it and use it with Hantan seal, the power would suddenly increase to a higher level. This made Yi Shiwen suddenly have such an idea, but the raw materials needed for this magic tool called Hantan seal were too exaggerated. He was not able to refine it at present. After condensing the overturning sky seal, Yi Shiwen suddenly felt that the aura within his body was surging. He was not far from the breakthrough. He immediately entered the closed-door training state without hesitation. He sat down cross-legged, and the enlightening mind ancient tree directly manifested behind him and enveloped him within it. His whole person entered a strange state of peace. Countless martial arts information gushed into his mind, and he continued to circulate the observing person scripture. His entire body turned into a universe, and in the universe, countless stars were born and destroyed. It was as if he was in a real universe. And the blood essence of the celestial fox prince and Yuan Batian were also mobilized, supplemented into his body, and rushed to the 4th level of Powong realm. Due to the countless preparations he had made previously, coupled with the blood essence of the celestial fox child, a level 5 Powong realm expert, and the blood essence of Yuan Batian, a level 7 Powong realm expert, it made his breakthrough very convenient. He did not spend much energy, and the original solid realm barrier in his body was forcibly broken. He smoothly entered the 4th level of Powong realm. But his whole body did not stop, still constantly cultivating. The 4th level of Powong realm was not the main point. There was still a lot of blood essence that had not been absorbed. He was not in a hurry to come out, but slowly absorbed. After a long time, he finally opened his eyes. His body suddenly burst out endless real yuan, directly rushed into the sky. His body instantly turned into a golden universe. His aura rushed out unreservedly, as if a golden emperor had been resurrected. He slowly opened his eyes. Out of that space, still in the battlefield of the Celestial Fox clan, he calculated a little and found that 3 years had passed. His breakthrough this time, a full 3 years had passed. For ordinary people, to be able to spend 30 years to solve the problem that Han Seal was currently facing was already considered high efficiency, but he was still not satisfied because time did not give him so many choices. "You're awake?" He opened his eyes, and in front of him was Yi Mo's concerned eyes. In the past 3 years, Yi Mo had not left even a step, and he was also very clear that this stage was very important for Han Seal. There should be a lot of harvest. Ha! Yes. Yi Shuwen nodded, a somewhat satisfied smile on his face. This time, the breakthrough took a total of 3 years, but the results were quite gratifying. He smoothly entered the peak of the 4th level of Powong realm. In terms of combat power, perhaps ordinary masters of the 6th level of Powong realm may be killed on the spot. Compared to 3 years ago, it can be said that there was an earth-shaking change in his combat power compared to 3 years ago. At this time, if he were to face Yuan Batian again, he would not have to fight so hard, and Yuan Batian may be tortured to death by him. Although it took him 3 years, most of these 3 years were used to understand the overturning sky seal, but in the end he did not let his expectations down and successfully understood the overturning sky seal. Combined with the effect of the overturning sky seal, he was even confident that he could seriously injure the existence of the 7th level of Powong realm. In other words, if he returned to 3 years ago, he was afraid that he would be able to seriously injure Yuan Batian. There was no need to go through so much trouble. However, although the power of the 3 seals was great, the consumption was also very great. It could almost be said that most of the qi in his body was instantly exhausted, even more exaggerated than the Emergence Immortal Exterminating Saber. Emergence Immortal Exterminating Saber could only be regarded as one of his trump cards, but he had a feeling that he was far from exerting the power of Emergence Immortal Exterminating Saber. He was now just forcibly driving Emergence Immortal Exterminating Saber, far from being able to exert the power of Emergence Immortal Exterminating Saber. He thought for a moment he needed to deduce a set of saber techniques, and with the Emergence Immortal Exterminating Saber, he could truly exert the power of Emergence Immortal Exterminating Saber. And the power was probably not as good as the effect of the 3 seals of the Overturning Sky Seal. After condensing the last seal, the Overturning the Sky Seal had become the most powerful martial art technique that he had mastered so far. The time spent on deducing the Overturning the Sky Seal was far beyond his imagination. Just the Overturning the Sky Seal had already consumed so much time, let alone the other martial arts. Not to mention, this time, just to comprehend the Overturning Sky Seal and break through to the 4th level of Powong Realm, he had already consumed 10 billion of the 50 billion Xian cores that he had just obtained. Although he had not fully exerted its power, this was after all a god-level technique, and it was also the first complete version of a god-level technique that he had mastered. Even the demon wings was only at the second level. If not for this harvest, he would not have dared to use it on such a large scale. That's good. Yemo nodded and stood with his hands behind his back, looking like a peerless overlord. I will pass the 6 paths of reincarnation fist to you later, and your fist technique incarnation will also advance by leaps and bounds. Your understanding of fist techniques will also surpass countless people. Yi Shiwen did not doubt that the 6 paths of reincarnation fist was a secret technique that the Azura Demon King was proud of. It was not an exaggeration to say that it was one of the most powerful fist techniques since ancient times. When Yemo had fought with the leader of the Divine Union, he had only shown the tip of the iceberg. Previously, Yemo had also seen the people of the Azura clan use the 6 paths of reincarnation fist, but compared to Yemo, there was a huge gap. Is it the Azura Demon King? Yi Shiwen asked such a question out of nowhere. Yemo was very clear about what Yi Shiwen was asking about. All these years, he had followed Yi Shiwen to fight all over the place. Yi Shiwen had always known that he had once followed a Demon King, but in the end, he did not know which Demon King it was. Originally, Yi Shiwen had thought that it was the Great Demon King. This Demon King was considered to be a late cultivator in the demon realm, but his name had spread throughout the heavens and the realms. The reason for this was that Yemo had taught him the demon wings a long time ago. Until now, Yi Shiwen had not truly understood the magical use of the demon wings. However, now that he saw Yemo skillfully using the 6 paths of reincarnation fist, which even the majority of Great Azura did not have the qualifications to practice, he could not help but suspect that Yemo had once followed the Azura Demon King. This kind of secret technique of the Emperor Lord level would almost only be passed down within one's own race and sect. The probability of it being passed down was very small, almost impossible, unless it was a direct descendant. If Yemo was following the Azura Demon Lord, then all of this would make sense. It's not him. Don't make blind guesses. I know the 6 paths of reincarnation fist, but it does not mean that I used to follow him. Yemo did not say clearly, but only denied Yi Shiwen's guess. Then who could it be? Doubts flashed in Yi Shiwen's mind. There were only a few demon kings in the history of the demon race. Their myths and legends were illustrious in the heavens and the realms, so it should not be difficult to guess. However, Yemo did not say anything, so he did not continue to ask. The two of them had such a tacit understanding over the years that they would not ask about things that they did not want to say. Chapter 2110. This 6 paths of reincarnation fist is the lost technique of the Azura Demon King. After the master achieved the Tao, in order to go one step further and reach a higher realm, he exchanged his proud secret technique from the Azura clan. Yemo saw that Yi Shiwen was still puzzled, so he couldn't help but explain. I see. Yi Shiwen was relieved. It turned out to be like this. However, the original master of Yemo must have paid a great price to get the Azura clan to agree to the exchange. The inheritance of the Emperor level was many times more terrifying than the inheritance of the Immortal level. Even if other Emperor Lords came, they wouldn't dare to provoke them easily. It was impossible to snatch it by force. This was almost the tacit understanding and unspoken rule between the Emperor Lords. Because if one made a move on the inheritance of the predecessor today, then someone would make a move on the inheritance of the predecessor tomorrow. Even the Emperor Lords couldn't guarantee that they would be immortal in the long river of time. There were also various possibilities of failure. For countless years, there were many Emperor Lords who were known to have fallen. It's not only the 6 paths of reincarnation fist, but also the demon wings that you've learned. It's indeed a secret skill that the Great Demon King was proud of. Back then, there were only a few people who could match the Great Demon King's speed in the sky and on the ground. These were all obtained by my master at a great cost. He wanted to learn from other people's strong points and add his own martial arts comprehension to his body. Perhaps one day, he would be able to reach that realm. Yemo was a little sad, and his tiger-like eyes were filled with sadness. Not only did he follow the Demon King for countless years, but even his life was bestowed by the Demon King. He was almost equivalent to the existence of a father. Even though countless years had passed, he was still very sad. At that time, he insisted on letting Yi Shiwen enter the demon world. He also hoped that Yi Shiwen could regain the great Demon King's prestige and spread his prestige all over the world again. However, he no longer thought so now. Although Yi Shiwen didn't follow his original plan, he had walked out of his own path. No one who had achieved the Tao since ancient times would have a similar path. Everyone had to walk their own path in order to be able to ascend to the pinnacle of the great Tao. Among the manuals that my master exchanged for, many of them are world-shaking martial arts from ancient times to the present. However, many of them are incomplete, just like the 6 paths of reincarnation fist. As far as I know, the essence of the Ashura tribe has been lost. Maybe I'm the only one who has the complete inheritance. Maybe the Ashura tribe will come to find me because of this. So, you have to be prepared in advance. Yimo glanced at Yi Shiwen and said, although there are many martial arts, there are only a few. I have a complete inheritance. The Demon Wing and the Demon Wings and the 6 Reincarnation Fist are the only complete inheritance. I have the Demon Wings and the 6 Fist. I have the complete inheritance. I Demon Hand, I paths, Demon Fist, Demon, I pass, Wing, I, Demon, I, although there were only scales and claws, but Yi Shiwen knew that it was not simple at all. Devil's Wings was the famous unique skill of the great Devil Lord in the past. His agility technique was the best in the world, and the 6 paths of Reincarnation Fist was the famous lost technique of the Ashura Devil Lord. Yimo didn't have a complete inheritance of these martial arts, although there were only a few fragments, but the origin of these martial arts was not inferior to the Demon Wings and the 6 paths of Reincarnation Fist. Otherwise, Yimo wouldn't have compared them with these 2 power techniques. Yimo had said that these martial arts were nothing but fragments. However, if they were to be spread out, it would certainly cause a reign of terror in the 10,000 worlds. Countless people, even many legendary experts, would join in the competition. Yes, Yi Shiwen nodded. He didn't ask for more. He didn't want to bite off more than he could chew. If he practiced any of these martial arts to the peak, it would be enough for him to dominate the world. The essence of the 6 paths of Reincarnation Fist is the 6 paths. They are the heavenly path, human path, hell path, animal path, Ashura path, and hungry ghost path. Although these 6 paths are called the 6 paths of Reincarnation Fist, but in fact, the 6 paths of Reincarnation Fist can be divided into 6 sets of top fist techniques. The true 6 paths of Reincarnation Fist can be practiced to the highest level. Then, the true 6 paths of Reincarnation Fist can be combined to form the true 6 paths of Reincarnation Fist. The true essence of the 6 paths of Reincarnation Fist is the 6 paths of Reincarnation Fist. However, from ancient times until now, except for the Ashura Demon King, I'm afraid that no one has practiced it to the peak. Yimo said, could it be that even the Lord didn't? Yi Shiwen asked. He was a little surprised. Even the Ashura Demon King hadn't practiced it to the peak? My master did it because he wanted to learn from the strengths of others and understand the essence of it. He didn't want to cultivate the 6 paths of Reincarnation Fist. At that time, he had already attained the Tao, and there was no martial art in the world that was worthy of his worship. Even the 6 paths of Reincarnation Fist was just a reference. Yimo said immediately, who would feel inferior to others when they have practiced to that point? Since ancient times, the strongest experts were no better than them. At most, they could only learn from others, but they couldn't really learn from them. Because every person who has achieved the Tao has a completely different martial arts. No one is the same. Conversely, the path that others have walked can't be walked by later generations. If one tries to comprehend it by force, it will lead to the collapse of one's own Tao. Yi Shiwen nodded. So that's how it is. Among the 6 fist techniques of the 6 paths of Reincarnation Fist, the most powerful one is naturally the Heavenly Way. However, the Heavenly Way is also the most difficult one to learn. Unless you achieve the Tao, it is impossible to comprehend this fist technique. Apart from the Heavenly Way of Reincarnation Fist, these 6 paths represent different directions. For example, the animal path is no less difficult to practice than the heavenly way. This is because to practice the animal path, one must refine the blood essence of many fierce beasts. The more blood essence of fierce beasts you refine, the more noble your bloodline will be, and the stronger your strength will be. At that time, the power of your animal path will be greater. You don't have what I had in the past. When I was practicing, my master personally went to the wilderness to find the blood essence of those strange beasts. Now, with my current strength, I can't do that for you, said Yemo. Apart from the animal path, the hungry ghost path is the invincible fist technique of the spirit cultivators. In other words, if you can complete the hungry ghost path, those spirit cultivators won't be your match. Do you know why I was able to suppress the spiritual body that was originally produced in the body of the Lord of Darkness? It was because of the power of the hungry ghost path. Otherwise, he was a native and I was just an outsider. You couldn't have succeeded by relying on your seal. The other fist techniques also have their own restraints. It can even be said that if one day you can completely master the 6 paths of reincarnation fist and master it to the point where it is endless and complementary, there will be no living creature in the world that can't be restrained by you, said Yemo while looking at Yishiwen. Yishiwen was also secretly speechless. The power of the 6 paths of reincarnation fist was far above many of the martial arts that he knew. For example, his 5 elements Qin Yuan diagram would be restrained as long as it was within the 5 elements. However, he couldn't do anything outside of the 5 elements. The 6 paths of reincarnation fist could actually restrain all living creatures in the world. All of them were within the 6 paths of reincarnation. Its power was so great, and its range was so wide. It was indeed something that Yi Shiwen had never seen before. Similarly, one could imagine how ambitious the Azura Demon King was back then. He actually wanted to refine the 6 paths of reincarnation to contend with the god of the underworld and fight for the world of the dead. Among these, it's best for you to start from the human path. Because you are originally a human, there is such a pull in the unseen world. Cultivating the human path can be said to be blessed by the heavens. I will now impart the cultivation method of the 6 paths of reincarnation fist to you. After that, the rest is for you to slowly comprehend. Sooner or later, with your current situation, you will be able to cultivate this fist technique to the highest level. Yemo said. He was even more confident than Yishiwen. He was very clear that the power of the mysterious space inside Yishiwen's body was more magical than any magical power or celestial tool that he knew. Suddenly, Yishiwen felt a torrent of martial arts wrapped with endless information falling towards him. He didn't resist and let the torrent of martial arts wrap around him. Endless information rushed into his mind. It was the cultivation method of the 6 paths of reincarnation fist. As Yemo said, this was a complete fist technique. All the essentials and key points to understand were already marked in it. He even suspected that the cultivation method of the Azura tribe might not be as detailed as the one in his hand. The 6 paths of reincarnation fist could indeed be divided into 6 sets of fist techniques. Each set of fist techniques transformed into a human silhouette that was practicing an earth-shattering fist technique. Yi Shiwen could also feel that among the 6 human silhouettes formed by the 6 sets of fist techniques, the human Tao fist technique was indeed the one that attracted him the most. It faintly resonated with him. This was indeed a peerless cultivation method. Even any set of fist techniques was not inferior to the peak of the god-level cultivation method. If any set of fist techniques were to spread, it would set off a bloody storm. However, he quickly withdrew from the state of comprehension. If he wanted to comprehend it, he had to take it slowly in the future. He couldn't be impatient. You can slowly practice this set of fist techniques. If you succeed in the future, you will at least be unrivaled. Yemo said, As for me, I won't accompany you for this period of time. You plan to look for the Abyss Devil Lord? Yi Shiwen and Yemo had lived together for hundreds of years. He immediately reacted. Yes, Yu Lian's death is like a thorn in my heart. If I can't get rid of it, it will become a demon in my heart. If I don't kill him, I won't be able to calm down. If he proves his Tao, he will also be a great threat to you. So he must die, Yemo said. Chapter 21:11. The Lord of the Heaven Wasteland Palace, the leader of the Divine Union, and the Devil Lord of the Abyss were undoubtedly three mountains hanging above his head. However, the Abyssal Demon Lord was undoubtedly the greatest threat out of the three of them. Once he attained the Tao, the entire Desolate Era would probably become a demonic world. The Primordial Desolate Era was not an ordinary place. If it really became a devil world, and he became the new lord of this devil world, his cultivation would soar by leaps and bounds after he proved his Tao. In the future, he might even have the chance to attain the Tao. In the future, he would advance by leaps and bounds to an unimaginable level. Although Yi Shiwen had made use of the time when he was in closed-door training to make a breakthrough to rapidly improve, but as time passed, the time of the Abyss Devil Lord's confirmation was getting closer and closer. However, he still had no way to do it. He clearly knew that the Abyssal Demon Master could prove his Tao at any time, but he had no other choice but to fight for time. But recently, he had been feeling more and more uneasy, and that kind of intense uneasiness had directly engulfed him. I'm afraid you should have felt it too. Yemo looked at him and said, I'm afraid he really isn't far from reaching the Tao validation realm. I originally planned to wait until I reached the peak of the myth realm before taking action, but time waits for no one. We don't have that much time. Take that God pill. It's related to your future Tao validation realm. If we're talking about the Tao, I don't know how long it will take me to use that divine pill, but you're different. You can use it now, and your cultivation will improve by leaps and bounds. Yi Shiwen immediately made a decision. As long as you're one step ahead of the Abyss Devil Master, then no matter how many tricks he has up his sleeves, they'll all be useless. Although I'm only left with my primordial spirit, I've already proven my Tao. The fusion of a primordial spirit and a divine shell will make it harder to prove my Tao again. It's already as difficult as ascending to the heavens. Now, it's even more difficult. A divine elixir is far from enough. I have the method, but I don't have the time. Hence, the only way now is to kill him before he proves his Tao. Maybe without this inner demon, I'll be able to prove my Tao. Yemo chuckled. Although he said it casually, Yi Shiwen could clearly feel from his smile that it was far from that simple. Although he said it casually, Yi Shiwen could clearly feel from his smile that it was far from that simple. What's the use of you going? A battle of this level isn't something you can interfere with right now. Yemo said, Don't worry, I won't die. I will definitely win this battle. Yi Shiwen's pupils slightly contracted. Yemo had actually mentioned death. This battle might not be that simple. Tianyuan Mirror, Yi Shiwen said. Yemo shook his head and said, No need. Tianyuan Mirror hasn't recovered to its peak yet. You give me the yin-yang life and death diagram. Your yin-yang life and death diagram itself isn't complete. It was obtained from the hands of the Abyss Devil Lord. Yemo left quietly, without letting anyone know. He wanted to create a situation where he was still overseeing the human race. In the blink of an eye, 3 years had passed, and the human race could be said to have digested the fruits of the attack on the Heavenly Fox clan, which was the wealth of hundreds of billions of Xian cores. Among these hundreds of billions of Xian cores, they had received a total of 50 billion, which had greatly improved the strength of the human race. In these 3 years, many mysterious realm experts had returned to the ancient barons one after another. Perhaps it was because they had finally remembered their clansmen in the ancient barons. Or perhaps it was because they wanted to curry favor with Yi Shiwen. But the ancient barons' human race's momentum had soared, and they were no longer in decline. If they weren't afraid that the Abyss Devil Lord might attack them, they would have launched a large-scale counterattack and taken back the Imperial Court. Furthermore, with the return of a large number of experts to the Primordial Era, the entire front line of the human race was stabilized, and the other races that had wanted to take advantage of the chaos to attack the human race no longer dared to do so. Knowing this, Yi Shiwen felt a little relieved. Although the process was completely different from his initial plan, but in general, he had still achieved his original goal. And now, Yemo had gone to fight the Abyssal Demon Lord. At least in the short term, the biggest problem of the Abyssal Demon Lord would no longer exist. and he could also breathe a little easier. After leaving the boundary, he returned to the human race of the mysterious world. From the mouth of Bai Jiansheng and the others, he found out that in these 3 years, there was a turbulent situation, and it was definitely not calm. In the mysterious world, the human race was faintly rising to become the new generation of peerless overlords. Although it had caused a lot of backlash, especially from the Heaven Wasteland Palace and the Divine Union, they had to consider Yi Mo's existence even if they wanted to take action. Therefore, the development was considered stable. Now, the real attention of the mysterious world had been focused on the divine tombs, and it was said that there had been a huge breakthrough. Experts from all sides had gathered there, and it was not just the experts in the mysterious world, but even powerful experts from faraway places had rushed here day and night, and the news had finally spread. In the face of so many powerful opponents, even the leader of the Divine Union had to personally go to ensure that the final fruit would fall into his hands. This was also the reason why the Divine Union and the Heaven Wasteland Palace had not casually taken action in the past 3 years. Unless the Heaven Wasteland Palace Master and the leader of the Divine Union personally took action, no one was a match for Yi Mo, and this was also what they were most afraid of. The human race had also taken advantage of these 3 years to vigorously digest the results of this time, and many experts had emerged, and their strength had improved a lot. Facing the group of divine tombs, the human race had also sent some experts, but generally speaking, they were not eye-catching. Currently, there were only a few legend experts in the human race. Whether it was the young Kuan Peng or the Star Beast, they would only listen to Yi Shiwen. So, Bai Jiansheng could not leave at all. The profound death realm experts that were sent could only be regarded as a show of existence. Not long after Yi Shiwen came out of his closed-door training, and even more explosive news came from the group of divine tombs. According to the calculations of some almighty experts, they had actually discovered the existence of the divine source in the first divine tomb that they had attacked. As soon as this news came out, it completely shocked all parties in the Xian world. In particular, the antiques at the peak of the legend realm were on the verge of a riot. For these antiques at the peak of the legend realm, they had spent too much time in order to cultivate to this level, and for the remaining time they had left, proving their Tao had become their only goal. However, it was not that easy to prove one's Tao, since it was very difficult to prove one's Tao by relying on oneself. Finding some external forces had become their other choice, and the divine source was an external force that could help them achieve Tao. Those who could come into contact with this level of news were not ignorant and ill-informed people. They were also very clear about what the divine source was. As the name suggested, it was the origin of the gods, and it was intertwined with the gods' Tao. If one could obtain a piece, not only could they absorb the energy within it, and thus improve rapidly, but they could also comprehend the realm of proving their Tao. This kind of divine source itself could only be condensed by the gods, and it was also a hard currency for transactions between the gods. At that realm, naturally, they would no longer use the Xian core as a hard currency for transactions. If it was said that there were still some god sources in the past, then now, as the gods slowly disappeared from everyone's eyes, god sources were also rare. Perhaps other than some immortal inheritances with a long history, no one could possess god sources. Therefore, these people were so crazy, because even if they dug up the divine tomb, they might not be able to find the existence of the divine source. For example, Yi Shiwen had encountered several gods, but he had not obtained a piece of the divine source. Especially in the Xian world, it was even crazier. In the Xian world, even those overlord-level forces had never produced a god. It was even more impossible for an overlord force like the Divine Alliance, which was established to help the leaders of the Divine Alliance become gods, to exist. It was impossible to have something like the Divine Source without a special origin and inheritance. It was conceivable how excited those people were now. Even Yi Shiwen was tempted. In any case, there would still be a lot of good things in the divine tomb of a god. In the past 3 years, the Xian world's human clan had spread out their manpower widely, but they had not found the whereabouts of Hua Menghan. She left with Yi Shiwen's spirit incarnation. Yi Shiwen did not stay for long, and directly rushed to the group of divine tombs. Looking from afar, endless divine light burst out in all directions, and there was a great pressure shrouding this group of divine tombs. Coming here again, Yi Shiwen was filled with emotions. Compared to the last time he came here, things were already the same, but the people were different. Last time, there was basically no one in this universe. Now, he could see powerful experts flying over from time to time, and there was even no shortage of myth experts. The discovery of the group of divine tombs had completely aroused the enthusiasm of the world's experts, and they all rushed over. Looking from afar, the chain of divine tombs was covered by a natural formation, and only a huge tomb was floating in the sky. The outermost formation was broken, and it was forced out of the void. Countless laws around it were broken, and it was like a forbidden and dangerous place. That was the first divine tomb that had been found through deduction. If he wanted to open the tomb of the divine tomb, this was the first one that must be solved. Coupled with the discovery of the divine source, it was unknown how many experts were attracted to this divine tomb. Yi Shiwen did not stop and directly flew to the first divine tomb. Chapter 21:12. The periphery of the divine tomb was a vast, empty space. This space was chaotic, and nomological laws were broken everywhere. Spatial storms tore everything apart. Some powerful beasts were faintly discernible in some of the spatial fragments. They were constantly roaming around and letting out terrifying roars that shook the surroundings. Boom! A huge hand descended from the sky and suddenly grabbed the firmament, tearing everything apart. In an instant, these beasts were caught and turned into spirit essences that filled the sky. All of them died in an instant. In the void, a figure slowly walked out. The essence chi that filled the sky was all sucked in by him in one gulp. A faint golden light of divinity appeared on his body. In just a short while, it had completely melted away. Although the strength of these beasts is average, they have been living in the divine tomb for a long time and have been contaminated. It's not like they have come back empty-handed. Young Master Ge Yun said faintly. He could feel that the divinity in his body was slowly accumulating, so he wasn't in a hurry. After devouring this divinity, the ghostly luck path that he cultivated had become even more incisive. As he devoured more and more experts and plundered all their heaven-defying luck, his life became smoother and smoother. This was the most terrifying aspect of the ghostly luck tribe. It was also the real reason why all the races and factions wanted to strangle the ghostly luck tribe. Now, the ghostly luck tribe was the last tribe left. Only he knew the true might of this secret technique. With the ability to devour luck, he believed that it wouldn't take long for him to prove his Tao. As long as he had enough luck, he wouldn't have to worry. Who's there? Come out! Suddenly, young Master Ge Yun let out a loud roar, and the surrounding space collapsed in response. A terrifying force swept out, causing the heavens to collapse. Young Master Ge Yun, I didn't expect you to have grown so much during this period of time. A huge figure walked out of the void slowly, seemingly unaffected by that terrifying force. This was a man with a body like a small mountain and skin like rocks. It was a mountain giant, Dai Jibai. Why aren't you the Deputy Alliance Master of the Divine Union? Why are you looking for me? Young Master Ge Yun recognized this person. This mountain giant was one of the Divine Union's Deputy Union Masters. There was a tinge of fear in his expression. In fact, anyone who entered the mythological grade could have the position of Deputy Alliance Leader in the Divine Union. However, even though they were both Deputy Alliance Leaders, the difference in strength between them was like heaven and earth. Their status and authority were naturally different as well. Dai Jibai was ranked first among the Divine Union's many Deputy Union Masters. The first Deputy Union Master was known as the second most powerful person in the Divine Union, second only to the Divine Union's leader. His strength was earth-shattering. It was said that he had followed the Divine Union leader for thousands of years and was highly regarded by the Divine Union leader. Even in the Xian world, apart from those few peak existences, he could be ranked among the top. It was no wonder that young Master Ge Yun was nervous when such an expert appeared here. One must know that the Yin clan did not have a good reputation. After all, they plundered the luck of others and transferred it to themselves. It would be strange if they were welcomed like this. More importantly, he knew very well that many people were coveting the many secret techniques of the Ghost Luck tribe. Although many people criticized this despicable method of plundering luck, no one knew how many people were coveting this secret technique. He didn't believe that the Divine Union's people wouldn't be interested in this. Hence, he immediately put up his guard. TSK. As expected of a well-known figure among the younger generation. Young Master Yin had just finished speaking when a deep voice rang out from the void. Another behemoth emerged from the void. It was an incomparably huge, ferocious beast with an incomparably huge body. Its entire body was covered with dark green scales, and there were 2 huge horns on its head. The horns were constantly flowing with electric currents. An earth-shattering, powerful aura surged over. It was yet another ferocious character. Young Master Yun's face turned even uglier. His eyelids twitched as he recalled the origin of this ferocious beast almost immediately. Giant Thunder Beast. This was yet another powerhouse with a great background. However, it didn't come from the Divine Union. Instead, it came from another superpower, the Heaven Desolate Palace. This was the mount of the Heaven Desolate Palace Master. It had followed the Heaven Desolate Palace Master and swept across the world many years ago. As the Heaven Desolate Palace Master had achieved supreme prestige, the name of the Giant Thunder Beast had also resounded. It had the bloodline of an ancient Thunder Beast and was incomparably ferocious. He almost subconsciously wanted to escape. Either one of these 2 peerless powerhouses was definitely enough to take him down. Although his cultivation had improved by leaps and bounds during this period of time, and he had absorbed the luck of many people, he still couldn't compare to these 2 peerless powerhouses. However, he immediately discovered that the space had been completely sealed at some point in time. It was impossible for him to break out of the encirclement. What's the meaning of this? Young Master Yin would be too stupid if he still didn't understand that he had been targeted. His heart sank all of a sudden. Even though it was just these 2 peerless experts, they already represented the most terrifying forces, not to mention the 2 terrifying giants behind them. Either one of them was enough to call the wind and summon the rain in the entire mysterious world. Although Yi Shiwen had caused them to be disgraced in recent years, that was only because he was a freak. If it had been someone else, they would have been long dead. Everything seemed beautiful, but in fact, it wasn't something that ordinary people could afford. Even young Master Yin wouldn't choose to provoke these 2 behemoths before he was fully fledged. Even if he really entered the peak of the mythical realm in the future, he wouldn't easily provoke these 2 behemoths. In his opinion, Yi Shiwen's actions were simply a stupid idiot. Otherwise, why would he want to provoke these 2 extremely powerful existences at the same time? Don't worry, we're not here to kill you today, Dai Jibai said faintly. His face was a little arrogant, and he didn't take young Master Yin seriously at all. Hearing this, young Master Yin suddenly felt a little relieved, and he breathed a sigh of relief. After all, if these 2 wanted to deal with him, they wouldn't need to play any tricks at all. Then, why are you 2 here? Young Master Yin asked. These 2 definitely wouldn't come without a reason. They must have come for something. It's very simple. We're here to tell you a piece of news. Yi Shiwen is here, the Thunder Behemoth said, and its voice was as loud as a bell. Young Master Yun's face suddenly turned pale. No matter how slow he was, 3 years was enough for him to find out how Yi Shiwen dealt with the Celestial Fox Master through various channels. He was likely to be Yi Shiwen's next target. A large part of the reason why he could improve so quickly was because he had snatched Yi Shiwen's Dao fruit. From the moment he decided to join forces with the Celestial Fox Master and Jun Ding Tian to snatch Yi Shiwen's Dao fruit, there was no possibility of reconciliation between the 2 sides. However, his expression only changed slightly, and he immediately regained his composure. He said faintly, "Is that so? What does that have to do with me?" Young Master Yun, you don't have to play dumb. Do you think we don't know about the grudge between you and him? Dai Jibai said coldly. I think you should have received the news of the Celestial Fox Master's death. You should also know how he died. He was beaten to death by Yi Shiwen, and you also participated in snatching his Dao fruit and injuring Hua Menghan. Do you think he will let you go? Young Master Ghost Luck's expression finally changed. He was well aware that Yi Shiwen would never let him go with his vengeful personality. Putting himself in Yi Shiwen's shoes, he would never let Yi Shiwen go. If anything happened, he would definitely kill Yi Shiwen. What are you trying to say? Young Master Ge Yun asked coldly. Although he already knew, he was still in a bad mood when he was questioned like this. It's very simple. Let's cooperate. Let's join forces. Giant Thunder Beast said. Why do you want to cooperate with me? In terms of strength, you are far stronger than me. I don't believe that you are no match for Yi Shiwen. Unless you are afraid of Yi Mo. Who is behind him? Young Master Gui Yun asked directly. Dai Jibai snorted coldly and said, Don't play tricks in front of us. Although our strength is indeed more than enough to kill Yi Shiwen, we are indeed very afraid of Yi Mo. However, that was when Yi Mo was here. Now that he has left the Xian world and is here, he is just a lamb waiting to be slaughtered. Young Master Ge Yun sneered disdainfully. If that's the case, then why did you come to me? You can just kill him yourself. With our strength, it is indeed very easy to get rid of him, but the premise is that we can find him. Ever since he entered the divine tombs, he has been like a fish in the sea. It is impossible to find him. After all, this is not the Xian world. Our monitoring is far from that strict. Giant Thunder Beast said. Young Master Ge Yun immediately understood why the two giants were looking for him. With his intelligence, he immediately figured out the reason behind it. I understand. You want me to be the bait? Chapter 21:13. I understand now. You guys want me to be the bait? Speaking up to this point, young Master Ge Yun basically understood everything. He also knew very well why they had come looking for him. He said mockingly, What a good plan. Although Yi Shiwen looks reckless and impulsive, he is actually as cunning as a fox. He won't do anything he isn't confident in. He has been going against you guys for decades, yet you guys actually couldn't kill him. You even allowed him to grow into a serious threat. Therefore, you guys want to use his hatred for me to lure him out and eliminate him in one fell swoop. However, why should I help you guys? Kid, don't refuse a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit. You're already lucky that we didn't kill you. The Giant Thunder Beast said, It won't be easy even for you guys to kill me. Plus, without me, there will be no bait. Your plan to lure Yi Shiwen out will also be ruined. If you drag this out for hundreds or thousands of years, he might even directly reach the Dao validation realm. TSK. I'm afraid you guys will be in big trouble then. After young Master Ge Yun thought this through, he was no longer nervous. Although it seemed like he had no way of fighting back in front of these two tyrannical experts, he wasn't without a trump card. On the other hand, these two experts wanted to borrow his strength. What good would it do to kill him? Young Master Ge Yun immediately calmed down. Good lad, you've got guts. The Giant Thunder Beast said fiercely. Don't push your luck. Don't be too complacent. You must know that Yi Shiwen will seek revenge for the smallest grievance. Even if he wants to look for trouble with us, it will be impossible for him to do so for hundreds or even thousands of years. However, he can look for trouble with you anytime. Dai Jibai said, You've helped us this time, so there will naturally be many benefits. After killing Yi Shiwen, I can let you enter the Divine Union and become our Deputy Union Master. How about that? Don't push your luck. If you really push us too far, we'll announce your whereabouts. Let's see if Yi Shiwen will pounce over and kill you then. Dai Jibai threatened coldly. At that time, we can completely benefit from the fight between the Sandpiper and the Clam. We didn't have to look for you at all. But do you know why we still found you in the end? It's not because of how important you are, but to ensure that nothing goes wrong. We'll kill him in the end. This is something that benefits all three parties. I hope you won't cause any more trouble. Don't think that we won't kill him. Young Master Ge Yun glanced at Dai Jibai. He knew that if this went on, these two old fellows would be angered to the point that they would kill him. That would be a great loss. Humph, I can help you, but this is far from enough. You should know that Yi Shiwen is very tyrannical. Even the Heavenly Fox Master is no match for him. Although I have already stepped into the sixth sky of Myth Realm, I am still not his match. What if he kills me? Young Master Ge-yun said immediately. One must know that he would not help for free. Moreover, he was using himself as bait to lure and kill such a terrifying existence. Perhaps even he himself did not realize that Yi Shiwen, who was originally like an ant in his eyes, had unknowingly grown to the extent that he could threaten him. He did not hesitate to use such a despicable method to interrupt Yi Shiwen's momentum of ascension. Even he himself didn't realize that his heart had been filled with fear towards Yi Shiwen. In fact, he didn't even have much confidence in his tyrannical strength. Originally, with his strength, even among the experts of the Myth Realm, he could be regarded as a top expert at the peak of the middle stage of the Myth Realm. Except for those old monsters who lived in seclusion, there was almost no one who could rival him. However, with such tyrannical strength, coupled with all kinds of secret techniques and strength, he actually did not have the confidence to kill Yi Shiwen. One could imagine how much pressure Yi Shiwen was for him now. You don't have to worry about this. We will be here soon. Don't tell me that you can't even hold on for a short period of time in Yi Shiwen's hands. Daijibai said, It's hard to say. 3 years ago, young Master Heavenly Fox was already no match for him. 3 years later, only God knows to what extent he has grown. Who knows, he might even be earth-shattering. Young Master Ge-yun did not agree. Anyway, it was impossible for him to work for free. Don't even think about it. Moreover, this Yi Shiwen is extremely treacherous. He's as cunning as a fox. He's even more cautious. I'm afraid that he'll soon see through you if you get too close to him. Then you'll scare him away. Then it won't be easy to lure him in. And it'll be a test for me if you stay far enough away from him. The Thunder Beast was even more anxious. If it was not for the fact that he still needed to rely on young Master Ge-yun, he would have slapped Yi Shiwen to death. He said that Yi Shiwen was extremely treacherous and cunning like a fox, but he was not much worse. He seized the opportunity to find loopholes and refused to give in. He was like a mangy dog. You're right. This is for you. Daijibai directly took out a ball and threw it to young Master Ge-yun. He said, This is a part of the leader's spiritual power. After you swallow it, your strength will improve in a short period of time. At that time, no matter how tyrannical Yi Shiwen is, he will not be a match for you. If you can kill him on the spot, it will naturally be for the best. In that case, let's do this. Young Master Ge-yun directly accepted the item and did not continue to pester them. He also knew what it meant to quit while he was ahead. It would not be a good thing for him if he really forced these two old guys into a corner. Moreover, he also had a deep-rooted hatred for Yi Shiwen. It was Yi Shiwen who had ruined his chance to seize the god's blessing. If Yi Shiwen had not suddenly intervened, he would not have become like this. Perhaps he would have already taken advantage of the god's blessing and stepped into the peak of the mythical realm in one fell swoop. To him, that opportunity was a very important part of his plan, a very important part. Yi Shiwen, this time, I want you to die without a burial place. At this time, Yi Shiwen still did not know that the Heaven Wasteland Palace and the Divine Union had already laid out layers upon layers of inescapable traps and schemes to deal with him. However, he was also very clear that both the Divine Union and the Heaven Wasteland Palace would probably want him to die without a burial place. In addition to these two behemoths, he still had various kinds of enemies. Therefore, he didn't dare to be high-profile at all. Peerless experts from the Xian world, and even more places were gathered here. Just the terrifying experts at the late stage of the Myth Realm, and above were at the seventh heaven of Paong Realm. In order to obtain the inheritance of the gods, in order to obtain the abyss, these old fellows would definitely disregard their own kin and do anything. Although he had the ability to seriously injure the seventh level of the Paong realm, it did not mean that he had the strength to do so. However, for him, the trouble of the Divine Union and the Heaven Wasteland Palace was far from being a problem. The real problem was that when he stepped into the range of the Divine Tomb, he suddenly heard the voice of the god in his mind. My apostle, you are finally here. Come, come, come. This voice kept appearing in Yi Shiwen's mind and did not disappear for a moment. This was the god who had signed a contract with Yi Shiwen back then. Back then, Yimo had used the method of replacing the beam with the pillar to avoid the loopholes in the contract. The entire contract seemed to be fine, but in fact, it could not restrain Yi Shiwen at all. Otherwise, Yi Shiwen, who had signed a slave contract, would not have been able to refuse this voice's summon. Even so, Yi Shiwen could feel a powerful summoning force forming in the sky and crushing over. Generally speaking, he could still resist it. He had never expected that the first master of the divine tomb would actually be his fallen god's master. This was the most surprising thing to him. Now that Yimo was not by his side, he could only calculate everything by himself. In fact, he did not sign that contract at all. In other words, he did not care about the summoning of this god at all, but at the same time, he wanted to use this god to obtain the god's source and the inheritance of the gods that he wanted. With a single thought, he wanted to plot against the gods. If this god had been at his peak, he would have been immediately detected by him as soon as he had this thought. This was the power of a god, a powerful existence that was far beyond ordinary life. Now, it did not matter. Yi Shiwen had the Tianyuan mirror, which directly concealed the secrets of heaven. No one could calculate his location and existence at all. This was also why the Divine Alliance and the Heaven Wasteland Palace could find young Master Ghost Luck, but it was very difficult for them to find Yi Shiwen after he deliberately kept a low profile. After all, this was not the Xian world. They had countless sources of information and could rely on huge manpower and material resources to find Yi Shiwen in a short period of time. For him, the summoning of the gods could be extremely dangerous, but at the same time, it could also be an opportunity. He did not want to let go of this opportunity, even if it was accompanied by a strong crisis. He did not have much time. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. While he was still calculating all kinds of gains and losses, news of his other purpose of coming to this divine tomb, which was to kill young Master Ghost Luck, had finally spread. It was not easy to hide some news among these experts. The existence of young Master Ghost Luck had finally been discovered. Although he was a little surprised that young Master Ghost Luck, whom he could not find any news about previously, had suddenly appeared, he still followed the clues he obtained and rushed over. Chapter 21:14. Whether it was snatching his Dao fruit or colluding with the Celestial Fox Master and Jun Dingtian to severely injure Hua Menghan, causing her whereabouts to be unknown, any of these matters could be said to have provoked his reverse scale. The three of them had long been on his kill list. Other than Jun Dingtian, who was missing, and the Celestial Fox Master had been killed, the only one left was young Master Ghost Luck. Although he had some doubts, he had absolute confidence in himself. Although he could not be invincible in the world, it was more than enough to protect himself. He immediately rushed over to young Master Ghost Luck's whereabouts. However, everything did not go as smoothly as he had imagined. Young Master Ghost Luck was very cunning, causing him to miss several times. Moreover, he did not make a big fuss, and everything was carried out quietly. For the entire Divine Tomb, it was still a turbulent time, so no one paid attention to the existence of these two people. There were too many experts gathered in the Divine Tomb, and many of them had been famous for thousands or even tens of thousands of years. Compared to these old people, whether it was Yi Shiwen or young Master Ghost Luck, they were still too young. These old people, who had been famous for thousands or even tens of thousands of years, would not even look at the younger generation. This was because in this world, age often represented absolute strength and authority. Young Master Ghost Luck, obediently hand over the secret technique of your Ghost Luck clan. Otherwise, you will die without a burial place today. Several tyrannical experts appeared in front of young Master Ghost Luck. Young Master Ghost Luck's secret technique that could plunder luck made many people greedy for the last descendant of this clan. Many powerful experts of different clans flew in the sky, and they were all strange and abnormally powerful. I think you are really tired of living. Young Master Ghost Luck sneered, and a long halberd appeared in his hand. This was a black iron halberd, but the halberd body had traces of cracks, which could not conceal the powerful fluctuations that were constantly emitting from the halberd. Do you really think that it is easy to bully me? At this point, any random monster or snake dares to come and talk to me. It seems to me that you refuse a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit. Go, devour him, deprive him of his memories, and seize the secret technique that allows him to seize karmic luck. Although they couldn't compare to the old antiques and fellows who had already stepped into the 7th or 8th layer of Paong, they were still at the 4th and 5th layer of myth. None of them were weak. Idiot! A cruel smile appeared on young Master Gui Yun's face. Ha ha! Don't you want to know the secret technique of our Gui Yun clan? I'll show you now. Halberd of Ghost Fortune, breaking the heavens. Young Master Gui Yun brandished his halberd and broke through the void. In an instant, those myth experts could sense that even the heavens seemed to have been locked down. A terrifying power surged, and they could sense some sort of power being extracted from their bodies. They immediately understood that it was their karmic luck, which had actually been stripped from their bodies by this attack. Suppress it for me? Those experts shouted and circulated their energy to suppress their karmic luck. Any expert who could cultivate to the myth realm could be said to have great karmic luck. Without karmic luck, they might fall to their deaths tomorrow. Without the protection of karmic luck, all sorts of unlucky things could happen. At this moment, they finally understood how terrifying the Ghost Fortune clan's secret technique was. This was also the reason why so many people hated the Ghost Fortune clan. In the end, the Ghost Fortune clan was annihilated. No one wanted such a terrifying clan to exist in this world. Idiots, do you think you can hold on? Young Master Gui Yun sneered and brandished his halberd again. Suddenly, an invisible current of karmic luck surged in from the sky and entered his body. Those myth experts who had lost the protection of karmic luck turned gloomy. Damn it! How did this happen? We were fully prepared. How did things turn out like this? How can there be such a terrifying secret technique? All of you go to hell for me. I'll send you all to hell with one strike. Young Master Gui Yun laughed strangely, and the aura on his body suddenly erupted. It was the terrifying strength of the 6th layer of the Paong realm. Boom! The halberd in his hand suddenly erupted with a terrifying divine light. Like a divine dragon, it soared into the sky and devoured everything. It ruthlessly blasted towards those myth experts. Rumble! Countless laws instantly flared up, transforming into countless law talismans that filled the sky. An incomparably huge mushroom cloud rose up, and these myth experts all exploded, transforming into a mist of blood that filled the sky. How could he be so strong? Up until the moment they died, they still couldn't believe that young Master Gui Yun could be so strong. It wasn't that they hadn't seen someone at the 6th heaven of the Paong realm before, but they didn't know that he could be this strong. Good luck. Once I devour all of their blood essence, I will be able to improve further. Young Master Gui Yun said with a strange laugh. I don't think you have this chance. A cold roar could be heard coming from the sky. A giant hand descended from the sky, causing the heavens to crumble and turn into a boundless force descending from the sky. Damn it! Young Master Gui Yun's expression changed, but he suddenly felt relieved. It's finally here. His body moved horizontally like a ghost, and in an instant, he had already flown thousands of miles away, avoiding this fatal blow. 5 elements formation complete. Immediately after, another cold snort sounded, and 5 incomparably powerful figures descended from the sky, guarding the 5 directions, sealing everything. Yi Shiwen, come out. I know it's you. Young Master Gui Yun said coldly, and he didn't continue to pretend. I really didn't expect that we would meet under such circumstances and in such a way. Yi Shiwen slowly walked out of the void, and his body was surging with a powerful aura. His aura firmly locked onto young Master Gui Yun. Young Master Gui Yun didn't have the slightest change in his expression. He just stared coldly at Yi Shiwen and said, You're finally here. I've been waiting for you for a long time. Oh, in that case, you also know that your death is near, Yi Shiwen said with a sneer. The one whose near death is you. Young Master Gay Yun sneered. If he was really caught off guard by Yi Shiwen, perhaps he would panic, but now he wouldn't be the slightest bit nervous. If you're counting on someone to save you, don't even think about it, Yi Shiwen said indifferently. Young Master Gui Yun's expression suddenly changed. How did he know? Could it be that the news was leaked? Yi Shiwen's heart suddenly skipped a beat, and a bad premonition arose. He was just scaring young Master Gay Yun just to blow him up a little. Who would have thought that he would really blow up something? No matter how he thought about it, he felt that something was wrong. All the information was obtained too easily, as if someone was deliberately guiding him forward, letting him continuously obtain news about young Master Gay Yun, and finally, leading him to meet young Master Gui Yun. Previously, he had no choice, and his heart was filled with hatred. However, it didn't mean that he was brainless. Since he realized that something was wrong, coupled with young Master Gui Yun's words just now, he became even more suspicious. Hence, he used words to trick young Master Gui Yun. He didn't expect that he would really get something out of him. Yi Shiwen, so, what if you know? Do you know who wants your life this time? The Mount of the Heaven Wasteland Palace Master, the Giant Thunder Beast, and the Divine Union's first Deputy Alliance Master, Dai Jibai. I'm sure you've heard of their names. I can only say that you're too good at causing trouble and offending too many people. Now that they can't tolerate you anymore, it's time for you to die. Young Master Gay Yun's expression changed a little, but he quickly calmed down. He looked coldly at Yi Shiwen and said, So it's the two of them. I didn't expect the people of the Heaven Wasteland Palace and the Divine Union to not give up. All kinds of guesses flashed through Yi Shiwen's mind. Almost instantly, he guessed how this was going to happen. He was afraid that the matter of him leaving the Xian world had been discovered immediately, which was why this was happening. The scheme itself wasn't complicated, and it only took advantage of the asymmetry of information between them. Yi Shiwen didn't know that he had already been discovered and guessed to be in the divine tombs. This was his biggest miscalculation. What? You blew me up? Young Master Gay Yun's face immediately turned pale. How could he not see that he had been blown up by Yi Shiwen just now? He felt that Yi Shiwen was extremely treacherous and cunning. In the end, Yi Shiwen still discovered some clues from his words. He was incomparably furious. So what if I blew you up? Young Master Gay Yun, you're probably muddle-headed. You actually want to scheme against me? That's a dead end. Yi Shiwen sneered. Young Master Gay Yun trembled with anger. He thought that he had succeeded in his scheme, but in the end his scheme was exposed by Yi Shiwen. It was simply a slap in the face. Young Master Gay Yun, don't even think about it if you're counting on them to come to your rescue. I've already set up the 5 elements formation to isolate all information. By the time they receive the news, I'm afraid it'll be too late. Yi Shiwen narrowed his eyes. The backup plan that he had set up for safety had played a big role at this time. Don't be too complacent. I alone am enough to kill you. Chapter 21:15. Don't be complacent too early. I alone am enough to kill you. Young Master Ghost Fortune was completely enraged. His original arrangement was far from achieving the desired effect. One could imagine the anger in his heart. On the contrary, he was completely tricked by Yi Shiwen. In terms of scheming, he seemed to have been completely defeated by Yi Shiwen. Young Master Ghost Fortune took a step forward and directly struck out with an earth-shattering palm technique. It turned into a kind of beast claw with terrifying power. The entire universe would collapse under this claw. This was not his own martial arts, but a kind of martial arts that he comprehended when he plundered the luck of a fierce beast. Its power was extremely tyrannical. The world seemed to be turning into a beast. At this moment, a golden long sword appeared in Yi Shiwen's hand. He immediately stabbed out with the sword. It was like an antelope hanging its horn, without the slightest pattern to speak of. His cultivation and comprehension in swordsmanship were displayed incisively and vividly. Yi Shiwen, today, I will let you see how wrong you are. Don't think that you are my opponent just because you killed the Celestial Fox Master. Even if the Celestial Fox Master appears in front of me, he is not my opponent. Young Master Ghost Fortune said confidently. He directly clawed down as if he wanted to tear the sky apart. The power of this claw was actually above the heavens. Clangs! The long sword and the beast's claw collided fiercely in the void. Sparks flew everywhere, and both of them continuously retreated and separated. Both sides seemed to be evenly matched. In fact, young Master Ghost Fortune seemed to be a little stronger. Just SOSO. Beast dominating the heavens. Young Master Gui Yun roared. Boundless laws of the Tao of Beasts swept out from his body and turned into talismans of laws. In an instant, it turned into a storm. Another claw came out. This time, it was much more terrifying than the previous claw. Yi Shiwen remained calm. Although he was at a disadvantage in the previous attack, he was not in a hurry. With the strength of the 4th level of Paong Realm, it was indeed a little difficult to contend with young Master Ghost Fortune, who was at the 6th level of Paong Realm, without using many trump cards. The long sword in his hand manifested and burst forth. Many sword principle laws, like small swords, directly turned into a sword principle domain and met the attack head-on. Clang! 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 The two of them clashed over 1,000 times, each time more intense than the last. Young Master Gui Yun's attacks were more powerful, and his beast Tao nomological laws were more tyrannical. It was as though he could tear all his opponents apart. Unfortunately, he had encountered a freak like Yi Shiwen. Yi Shiwen's comprehension of swordsmanship had reached a shocking level, and he was constantly evolving brand new swordsmanship laws to protect him. The sword light pierced through the air. Yi Shiwen's defense was watertight, and he could still find time to attack. No matter how terrifying young Master Ghost Fortune's attack was, he could not break through Yi Shiwen's defense. Every time his attack came, Yi Shiwen would be able to counter it. Furthermore, he would constantly use the mysterious space to deduce the various great Daos of young Master Gui Yun. He was actually using young Master Gui Yun to truly adapt to his powerful strength of the 4th heaven of the Paong Realm. Although he had completely broken into the 4th heaven of the Paong Realm previously, he had not fully grasped it, so it could not be compared to now. Young Master Gui Yun looked over, and his face turned even more ashen. He was very smart. If he was still unaware of the situation at the beginning, how could he not see it as time passed? At this moment, Yi Shiwen didn't seem to be fighting at all. It seemed as if he was completely practicing martial arts. He was relaxed and at ease. The sword technique in his hands displayed the ultimate power. Every movement of his had an indescribable great Tao contained within it. Although he seemed to have the upper hand and was suppressing Yi Shiwen, in reality, he could not do anything to Yi Shiwen. Yi Shiwen was like a tortoise shell, protecting himself firmly. No one could shake his defense. How dare you use me to cultivate? Young Master Gui Yun stopped, and his expression became colder and colder. Although he knew that it would not be long before Dai Jibai and the giant thunder beast would rush over to deal a fatal blow to Yi Shiwen, he did not want to delay until then. If he could not defeat Yi Shiwen personally, there would be an eternal flaw in his heart. If that happened, a powerful inner demon would form in his heart. Not to mention achieving the great Daos. It would be good enough if he did not retreat. He did not know when Yi Shiwen had become a huge obstacle in his heart. He had already become an inner demon. So what? This is all you can do. Yi Shiwen sneered and said, "If you think that this is my true strength, then you are gravely mistaken." Young Master Gui Yun shouted, "Today, I will make you die without a burial place." He grabbed at the void with both hands, and an extremely ferocious halberd appeared in his hands. The halberd of ghostly fortune in his hand burst forth with powerful rays of light. He spat out a breath of air and actually spat out the destiny in his body onto the body of the halberd of ghostly fortune. The halberd of ghostly fortune grew bigger and bigger and fiercely slashed towards Yi Shiwen. Clang! With a deafening roar, Yi Shiwen was forced to retreat continuously. The golden divinities on his body surged continuously. Roar! Young Master Gui Yun persisted, wanting to take advantage of the situation to pursue Yi Shiwen. He directly slashed with the halberd, like a ghost fate war god descending from the sky. The divine light that burst forth from the halberd of ghost fate could severely injure an ordinary Paong Realm expert, and destroy a first-rate force. This was young Master Gue Yun's true strength. In the face of absolute strength, numbers no longer had any meaning. This was also why a force without the protection of a mythical expert could not even be considered a first-rate force, let alone contend for hegemony in the Xian world. No matter how many people there were, they were not even qualified to speak in front of a truly tyrannical mythical expert. The martial arts that he blasted out revealed an ancient aura. It was an existence that was once tyrannical countless years ago. It had a completely different trend from the current martial arts. Young Master Gue Yun was indeed tyrannical. He had already been forced to an absolute realm by Yi Shiwen. Although he did not know how high Yi Shiwen's current realm was, he still had to fight with all his might to determine the outcome of the battle. Yi Shiwen did not have the slightest hesitation. He directly integrated 2 martial arts incarnations. In addition to the state of the 5 Emperor incarnations, his combat strength directly rushed to the peak of the 6th level of Paoang realm. It was extremely terrifying. Buzz! Yi Shiwen directly made his move. His big hand suddenly swept out, holding the 5 elements Qian Yuan diagram. The power of the 5 elements flowed out from it, and a 5-colored brilliance surged in the void. It directly swept away the power of the 5 elements. Young Master Gue Yun's attack was completely buried in the 5 elements Qian Yuan diagram. In an instant, all the attacks were disintegrated. This was the Tao of the 5 elements that he had newly comprehended. The state of the 5 Emperor incarnations formed an endless state on his body. There was a saying that Tao validation was beyond the 3 realms and not within the 5 elements. To list the 5 elements alone was to prove the power of the 5 elements. Unless it was Tao validation, very few people could not be restrained by the power of the 5 elements. Even if it was Tao validation, it would only be restrained by a little. This most fundamental nomological attribute was itself one of the most tyrannical forces in the world. The power of mortals. Even gods that were thousands or even tens of thousands of times stronger than mortals seemed so insignificant when compared to the power of the world. Bang! Yi Shiwen instantly disintegrated all the attacks of the halberd of Ghost Luck. Then, he directly rushed to the front of young Master Gue Yun with an incomparably powerful long saber in his hand. Emergence, immortal exterminating saber. Young Master Gue Yun's expression changed. He felt the terrifying aura contained in the emergence, immortal exterminating saber, and retreated continuously. However, Yi Shiwen did not let him off. He directly chased after him and did not give an inch. The incomparably powerful saber aura was about to slash apart the world. Young Master Gue Yun's eyes were bloodshot. He had already been forced to this point by Yi Shiwen. Ordinary magic tools were nothing in front of the emergence, immortal exterminating saber. However, his halberd of Ghost Luck was not ordinary either. It was the proof of the Ghost Luck clan's extreme glory. If it had not been damaged during the war, it would have been a divine tool. With a divine tool in hand, the power that could be unleashed was far beyond the imagination of ordinary people. Even if it was injured, it was still far more tyrannical than ordinary magic tools. The halberd of ghostly luck in his hand danced in the air once again, causing huge, illusionary figures to appear. These were the previous users of the halberd of ghostly luck, the clan leaders of the powerful ghostly luck tribe. They all appeared and unleashed shocking power. Boom! Yi Shiwen was still expressionless. The emergence immortal exterminating saber in his hand unleashed shocking power and collided with the halberd of Ghost Luck. The collision of the 2 divine tools directly erupted with eternal light. Both of them were divine tools, but due to various reasons, they were flawed. They no longer had the power that they had when they were at their peak. Boom! There was another terrifying collision. Young Master Gue Yun staggered a few steps back. His entire palm was shattered by Yi Shiwen's power. Yi Shiwen had completely unleashed his power. He was just like the monster in the legends, a monster with great power. In his body, countless laws turned into talismans and surged out, protecting his entire body. He wanted to counterattack, but Yi Shiwen didn't give him any chance at all. He held the emergence, immortal exterminating saber in his hand and slashed down again. Chapter 2116. Clang. It was another intense collision. Countless law talismans were separated, and young Master Ghost Luck was sent flying. Yi Shiwen had fused with the martial arts incarnation and the five emperors. Young Master Ghost Luck was no match for Yi Shiwen. Yi Shiwen, go to hell. Young Master Ghost Luck, who was sent flying, was not discouraged at all. Waves of strange aura surged out from his body and instantly evolved into a Ghost Luck world. This was a strange world, and all the luck in the world seemed to be gathering on young Master Ghost Luck. He saw the power of Ghost Luck flying out from young Master Ghost Luck's body in one breath. He was like a ghost god, standing in the sky and emitting a powerful aura. Endless power of Ghost Luck surrounded him, forming a unique world. Anyone who entered this world would be assimilated by the power of Ghost Luck, and no one would be a match for him. Today, I'll show you my true strength. Compared to me, you're still a long way off. Young Master Ghost Luck shouted, and the endless power of Ghost Luck around him exploded with shocking power. This was a strange power that could plunder the luck of others into his own hands. Power of Ghost Luck, the magical power of the Ghost Luck clan. Interesting, Yi Shiwen sneered. He immediately felt that his world was shrouded by a strange power. Suddenly, he felt that all the power was condensed into a huge vortex, and young Master Ghost Luck was standing in the center of this vortex. He was also constantly being pulled towards young Master Ghost Luck by the centripetal force of this vortex. In an instant, he couldn't see his surroundings clearly. He felt as if the world had darkened, as if the sun and moon had lost their light. Everything seemed to be suppressed, and he even felt as if drinking cold water was about to get stuck between his teeth. This was a sign that his luck was about to be plundered. He only felt that the power hidden in his body was about to be sucked out. Yi Shiwen knew that this was the power of luck in his body. He had felt it once from young Master Ghost Luck, but it was far from being as tyrannical as this time. At that time, young Master Ghost Luck was only in the mysterious realm, and it was not even 1% of his current strength. They could not be compared at all. This was a secret technique that belonged to the Ghost Luck clan. His body contained great luck. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to cultivate to such an astonishing level. However, the more it was so, the easier it was for him to be restrained by the secret technique of the Ghost Luck clan. Suppress it for me? Yi Shiwen shouted loudly, and the enlightening mind ancient tree in his body directly erupted with astonishing rays of light. It forcibly suppressed the destiny in his body that was about to fly out. Capture it for me? Young Master Gay Yun shouted, and the ghost fate halberd in his hand erupted with a shocking power of loss. An even more powerful traction force tried to plunder Yi Shiwen's fate from his body. Yi Shiwen gradually felt that even the enlightening mind ancient tree felt a little powerless. He was horrified in his heart. This Ghost Luck clan was indeed an earth-shattering and powerful clan in the past. They were finally exterminated after obtaining such a powerful existence. Sure enough, he had some special means. If it was someone else, they would have already died from having their karmic luck sucked dry. Such a secret technique could be said to be heaven-defying. Yi Shiwen secretly thought that he couldn't let young Master Gui Yin continue like this. Otherwise, young Master Gui Yin might really succeed. He didn't wait for young Master Gui Yin to continue and took the initiative to attack. He took a step forward, and the long saber in his hand erupted with countless saber auras. In the void, the saber auras turned into talismans of the Tao of Saber. They turned into a torrent of energy and blasted out on the spot. Boom! Yi Shiwen's counterattack directly hit young Master Gui Yun's Ghost Fate halberd. Although young Master Gui Yun managed to catch it, his face revealed an incredulous expression. He originally thought that Yi Shiwen wouldn't have any chance to fight back after using this move. Although he already knew that Yi Shiwen had a way to resist the Ghost Luck clan's karmic luck great technique, how could his strength be compared to his current strength? It was simply not the same thing. As his strength grew, the power he could unleash from his clan's secret technique also grew. It was no longer the same as it was in the past. However, he still couldn't do anything to Yi Shiwen, and he even seized the opportunity to counterattack. Heaven Splitter! Young Master Gui Yun didn't panic. He raised his eyebrows and shook his arm. Suddenly, a divine radiance burst out from the halberd like a divine dragon. It soared into the sky, broke free from Yi Shiwen's saber aura, and directly rushed towards Yi Shiwen. Yi Shiwen's expression didn't change. In front of him, the power of the five elements was constantly rotating, forming a huge whirlpool that absorbed all the attacks and buried them within. He took a step forward, and he was like an extremely powerful emperor. He carried the power of the five elements, and with every step he took, an unimaginably mighty power surged out of his body. With the power of the five elements, the luck in his body completely stabilized. It was no longer as restless as before. In an instant, he tore the space apart and appeared in front of young Master Gui Yun. His cultivation erupted, and the power in his heart became more smoothly controlled. In the battle just now, he seemed to be at a complete disadvantage, but in fact, he used this opportunity to hone his perception and control of the power, stabilizing his realm in one fell swoop. Strictly speaking, the fourth level of the Paong realm was already a powerful existence in the Paong intermediate stage. Originally, this wasn't a problem for him at all. However, the real problem was that when he was at the fourth level of the Paong realm, he already possessed top-notch power that could destroy an existence at the sixth level of the Paong realm. This was the root cause of the instability in his body. Your Ghost Clan's secret technique isn't that powerful, Yi Shiwen said faintly. See if I don't destroy you cleanly. The long saber in his hand danced continuously. Every slash evolved the saber Dao to the extreme. He wasn't far from condensing the true saber Dao incarnation. In the past, even simple control of the emergence, immortal exterminating saber was already very difficult for him. Now he could fully unleash its power. Although it couldn't be compared to when he was at his peak, it could be considered an extremely powerful weapon for him now. Under Yi Shiwen's offensive, young Master Gui Yun kept retreating. He was constantly beaten back by Yi Shiwen, and Yi Shiwen's saber momentum didn't stop. In an instant, it was about to completely overturn the sky and slash the earth into pieces. What a pity, what a pity. Your power is indeed very tyrannical, but it's still not enough to defeat me. Moreover, you can't maintain the power of the martial Dao incarnation for long. As I can drag this out, even if you don't die, the giant thunder beast and Dai Jibai will definitely kill you. Although young Master Gui Yun was constantly being beaten back, he wasn't willing to admit defeat. He wasn't at the end of the line yet. His real trump cards were the power of the giant thunder beast and Dai Jibai. These two tyrannical experts at the 9th level of the mythical realm were enough to tear all opponents into pieces. You still want to wait until then? Don't even think about it. Yi Shiwen's clothes fluttered without any wind, and the emergence, immortal exterminating saber in his hand burst out with earth-shattering power. Relying on various means, even a powerful existence like young Master Gui Yun, who was at the 6th level of the Paong realm, was no match for Yi Shiwen at all. He was constantly being beaten back by Yi Shiwen. The current Yi Shiwen could be said to be extremely powerful, and he wouldn't lose to anyone. Break for me! His saber slashed out directly, and the dreamlike terrifying power tore everything apart. This saber directly tore the laws of heaven and earth apart, and there was no way to resist it. Young Master Gui Yun directly used the halberd of Ghost Fate, and suddenly slashed forward, setting off a torrent of divine radiance that came crashing down. Boom! The divine radiance that the halberd of Ghost Fate slashed out was no match for it at all, and it was directly cut into pieces. Then, the saber radiance ruthlessly slashed on the body of the halberd of Ghost Fate. Boom! However, there was another roar, and young Master Gui Yun, who was holding the halberd of Ghost Fate, was blasted away without the slightest strength to fight back. The entire scene was completely under Yi Shiwen's control. However, Yi Shiwen didn't have the slightest smile, because he was too clear that even the 5 elements major formation couldn't isolate all the information. He was afraid that the thunderous behemoth and Dai Jibai were already on their way, so he didn't have much time to waste. Otherwise, if either of these two tyrannical existences rushed over, he might not have 100% confidence in escaping. There was even a high possibility that he would fail miserably in a simple task. "So, I have to kill you," Yi Shiwen shouted, and the five elements Qian Yuan diagram on his body continuously burst out golden light. In an instant, it had already enveloped Yi Shiwen, and his power instantly rose to the extreme. "It's useless. Even if your strength is tyrannical, I have already tested it out. You can't kill me in a short period of time. When the situation turns around, it will be your death." Young Master Ge Yun continued to roar and clamor. Even if he couldn't fight against Yi Shiwen, at least it was more than enough to protect himself. As long as he could stall Yi Shiwen, it would be his death. Chapter 21:17. There was a dangerous glint in Yi Shiwen's eyes as he said coldly, "Give it a try then. Let's see if I can kill you. You must die today." At that moment, Yi Shiwen took a step forward and suddenly disappeared. In an instant, he had already arrived in front of young Master Ge Yun. So fast! What a strong, explosive power! Young Master Ge Yun was secretly shocked. This was simply unbelievable. He couldn't believe that Yi Shiwen's explosive power was actually so strong. Although he knew that Yi Shiwen's speed was extraordinary when he had escaped previously, extraordinary speed and shocking explosive power weren't the same thing. Boom! He didn't have much time to think. He only felt a terrifying blade light slashing down and smashing into the ground, creating a huge hole. In an instant, Yi Shiwen appeared in front of him. "You're right. I don't have much time left to waste. Therefore, I only have one decision. I'll send you to hell as soon as possible." Yi Shiwen was also very clear about his current situation. The martial path embodiment in his body was being consumed at an alarming rate. He couldn't wait any longer. The battle just now had wasted too much time, and he didn't have that much time left to waste. Boom! He slashed down with his blade again, smashing the huge hole that he had created and causing the ground to collapse by thousands of meters. He simply didn't have any strength to retaliate against Yi Shiwen's attack. At the moment, young Master Ge Yun finally started to feel a little afraid. If this went on, he might be beaten to death by Yi Shiwen before Yi Shiwen could wear him down. His power was almost endless, but it was completely useless in front of Yi Shiwen. He couldn't resist Yi Shiwen's strength at all. After fusing with two martial path embodiments, his power had become tyrannical and terrifying. "Yi Shiwen, you're the one who's stronger than me," young Master Ge Yun roared as he forcibly broke free from Yi Shiwen's attack range. The entire world shook. He opened his mouth wide and swallowed the true energy condensed by the Divine Union leader in one gulp. Boom! The aura on his body continued to sweep out like a huge storm, spreading out in circles. Even the space was distorted by the power of this huge Zhen Yuan. Yi Shiwen, who wanted to launch a surprise attack, was blocked outside. He could only watch as the power on his body swept out in circles and soared into the sky, directly breaking the five elements formation that he had set up. The powerful power shook the world, and even many myth realm experts in the vicinity saw this powerful power that had burst out. Who on earth is it that actually stepped into the seventh heaven of the Paong state in such a place? This terrifying power actually penetrated the barrier of the sixth heaven of the Paong realm and broke into the seventh heaven of the Paong realm in one breath. It was earth-shattering. Not good. That's the Alliance Master's true essence and aura. The Alliance Master can't be that weak, so there's only one possibility. That damned young Master Ge Yun has swallowed the Alliance Master's true essence. I've already warned him not to swallow it unless it's absolutely necessary. Otherwise, he'll die. Dai Jibai's expression changed when he felt the true essence and aura. Is it possible that he has already met Yi Shiwen? The figure of the giant thunder beast appeared beside him. Its massive body was filled with an oppressive aura. It was even larger than the mountaintop giant Dai Jibai. Damn it, if that's the case, then he's even more useless. He couldn't even block Yi Shiwen, and was actually forced to swallow the Alliance Master's true essence. Dai Jibai said coldly, "How can such a piece of trash be called a genius?" The lightning behemoth sneered. It was an existence that stood at the pinnacle of all mythical experts. It had always looked down on those so-called geniuses and even looked down on them. Geniuses were just geniuses, but it was extremely rare for them to grow to their level. Was the young Master Sky Fox, who was known as the first person to step into the myth realm and had the qualifications to attack the Tao validation realm, still alive? Geniuses were the most precious and important, while the cheapest and least important were the so-called geniuses. Geniuses could not be eaten as food. Only those who could grow to their level were qualified to be mentioned in the same breath as them and be on the same level. No matter what, since young Master Ghost Fortune has sent such a clear signal, it's very likely that Yi Shiwen has appeared. We can't let him escape. This time, we must send him to hell, Dai Jibai said coldly. He took a step forward, and the void shrank into a ball. He disappeared behind him. This was an extremely brilliant movement technique. In an instant, he could cross layers of space. The giant thunder beast was even more direct. It instantly turned into a ball of lightning and disappeared into the sky. It was not inferior to Dai Jibai at all. At the same time, young Master Ghost Fortune finally opened his eyes. He felt a powerful force surging in his body. A sinister smile appeared on his face. He laughed and said, "Haha, the feeling of power is really great. This Jin Yuan has saved me many years of bitter cultivation." He was now stuck between the 6th and 7th layers of Paoang realm. These two realms were only one step apart, but the difference in strength was like heaven and earth. One was in the middle stage of myth, and the other was in the late stage of myth. They were completely different. It was equivalent to entering a completely different world. If he didn't have this true essence, and if he didn't have any other fortuitous encounters, then he might have to cultivate for several decades before he could step into the next realm. Although this was already considered extremely fast for others, it wasn't enough for him. He needed to be even faster, because his competitors were all progressing at a faster speed than him. He couldn't fall behind too much. Yi Shiwen, speaking of which, I have to thank you. If it weren't for you, I might not have been able to make up my mind to swallow this Jin Yuan. Do you know who this Jin Yuan belongs to? It's the leader of the Divine Union, who wants your life at all times. This is an ordinary Jin Yuan, it's essence chi. He's willing to use it to deal with you. Young Master Ghost Fortune sneered with a sinister look on his face. Ha ha ha! The Heaven Wasteland Palace and the Divine Union are in a mess just to deal with you. You're quite capable, but it ends here. Your legend should end today. Your head is worth a lot of shin pills. I don't want those two old fellows to snatch it from me. As he spoke, the aura on his body became more and more tyrannical. A tyrannical force kept surging within it. Although he hadn't entered the 7th layer of Paoang realm yet, this force was constantly breaking through. Yi Shiwen could see that young Master Ghost Fortune was having a hard time maintaining this force that far exceeded his own. His entire body was on the verge of collapse. If he wasn't careful, he might explode. He had experienced something like this before, so he was very clear. However, even so, the power that young Master Ghost Fortune had obtained was not fake. Boom! Young Master Ghost Fortune's claw slashed down, causing the earth to shake and the mountains to tremble. Compared to before, there was simply an earth-shattering change. His strength could not be compared to before. Between his fingers, Yi Shiwen turned into a ball of light and disappeared. However, young Master Ghost's luck was not disappointed at all. The grin on his face was still there, and he reached out to grab Yi Shiwen again, as if he had already predicted where Yi Shiwen would appear. Sure enough, Yi Shiwen's figure appeared on time. Yi Shiwen didn't change. He took a step forward and disappeared into the void. Young Master Ghost Fortune missed again. It's useless. You can't hide from me. You're nothing in front of my strength. Young Master Ghost Fortune didn't care at all. He grabbed at Yi Shiwen again. He had the absolute upper hand now. You're borrowing someone else's power. It's not yours at all. You've already gone on the wrong path. Yi Shiwen's cold voice came from all directions. Scram! No matter whose power it is, as long as I can use it, it's my power. How can you understand that this is a unique technique of my clan? Even luck can be plundered and turned into one's own, let alone mere power. Young Master Ghost Fortune roared ferociously. Is that so? If luck could really be plundered and turned into one's own, how could such a powerful clan like yours be abandoned by fate and exterminated? Shut up! Young Master Ghost Luck roared and began to panic. His big hands kept grabbing, and the void collapsed completely. He wanted to collapse everything. He didn't want to give Yi Shiwen any space to hide or dodge. Everything was exposed in front of him. He turned his gaze to the only area that hadn't collapsed. If he didn't guess wrong, Yi Shiwen should be hiding in this area. Come out! His big hands reached out, and sure enough, Yi Shiwen was hiding in this area. Yi Shiwen's figure appeared in a flash. His expression was solemn. Young Master Ghost Fortune's sudden burst of power had caught him off guard. It had also broken his 5 elements formation. He could even feel 2 earth-shattering auras rushing over at lightning speed. There's not enough time. Since that's the case, I can only kill you. Yi Shiwen took a deep breath and said. Young Master Ghost Fortune clamored, Haha, kill me? Just you? He glanced over and saw that Yi Shiwen's hands had begun to form a seal. It was quickly completed, and a terrifying power surged out of his body. Chapter 21:18. He glanced over and saw that Yi Shiwen's hands had begun to form a seal. It was quickly completed, and a terrifying power surged out of his body. That terrifying power surged out, and under his control, it formed an incomparably powerful seal. Boom! This terrifying seal was directly manifested. Rippling Mountain Seal. Once the Rippling Mountain Seal was formed, a mountain-like power rippled out majestically. Even young Master Gui Yun, whose strength was guaranteed, felt a trace of shock and fear from the bottom of his heart when he sensed this power. There was a crazy voice in young Master Ghost Luck's heart. That was his trump card, definitely his trump card. He must not let Yi Shiwen continue like this. Otherwise, he would definitely suffer. Inverting the Ocean Seal. While he was still hesitating, Yi Shiwen's Inverting the Ocean Seal had already condensed successfully. The speed was so fast that it was terrifying. No, I must stop you. Young Master Gui Yin let out a loud roar. His blood vessels had already burst, causing his face to turn red. He looked even more ferocious. The ghostly fate halberd suddenly appeared in his hand, and he slashed it forward. Boom! The halberd light chopped into the 5 elements' great array formation. At this critical moment, the power of the 5 elements protected Yi Shiwen. That majestic and dreadful power almost broke the 5 elements' great array formation, overturning the sky seal. When Yi Shiwen shouted the words, overturning the sky seal, young Master Ghost Luck suddenly felt that the sky was falling and the earth was cracking. The world was under the influence of the power of the rules. You are still far from being able to kill me with this. He roared, and blood-red power surged out of his body continuously. That was because his body was collapsing, and his blood chi rushed out. The overturning the sky seal made him tremble. If it was before he had swallowed that power, he might have felt afraid, and he might not be able to resist it. However, it was different now. Although this power was not his, it was enough. It was completely enough. 3 seals in 1. Yi Shiwen's real trump card was not here. He shouted loudly, and the power of his whole body was instantly drained. The surging power directly rushed into the sky and rushed into the 3 seals that had merged into 1. The 3 seals merged together in front of him. Heaven and earth, all living things, all merged together, unleashing a heaven-shaking, earth-shattering power. Boom! These 3 seals descended with a loud rumble. Everything in the world was distorted, completely distorted. Although they were descending slowly, in reality, they had an earth-shattering power that completely sealed the world. The terrifying power that could destroy everything in the world was rampaging in this place, sweeping out crazily. Bang! Yi Shiwen's 3 combined seals directly hit young Master Ghost Luck's chest. The sky collapsed and the earth caved in, destroying everything. The energy that young Master Ghost Luck was so proud of was as fragile as a piece of paper in the face of such a powerful force. It was not a match at all and was instantly destroyed. Ah! He let out a blood-curdling scream as his body, was sent flying. He was like a kite with a broken string as he was sent flying. He was severely injured in an instant and crashed into a mountain ridge. There was a huge bloody hole in his chest. He lay on the ground, gasping for breath. His eyes were even a little distracted. He could not imagine how this could happen. He actually fell to such a state, even though he was the one who set up the trap for Yi Shiwen. In the end, Yi Shiwen turned the tables on him and severely injured him. In the end, he quickly figured out where the problem lay. It was because his plan wasn't sophisticated enough. It was because he had underestimated Yi Shiwen's strength. Yi Shiwen was far more terrifying than he had imagined. Yi Shiwen seemed to be able to break through all the methods that he had used afterwards, and it seemed as if they were nothing in front of him. He was unwilling. Ever since he had awakened the bloodline of the Ghost Luck clan, he had devoured the luck of countless people. He had never thought that there would be a day where he would be defeated. In fact, according to his calculations, if he continued to devour luck like this, he would sooner or later prove his Tao. At that time, he would be able to rebuild the Ghost Luck clan and let the Ghost Luck clan regain its glory in this world. He was unwilling to be defeated by someone of the same generation. It was simply a kind of sorrow and humiliation. At this moment, when he was in a trance, Yi Shiwen had already arrived in front of him. Yi Shiwen's face was cold and without the slightest sympathy. "I'm unwilling, Yi Shiwen. Do you dare to give me 3 years? After 3 years, I will fight you again. At that time, I will definitely defeat you." Young Master Ghost Luck roared unwillingly. He wanted to fight for his last hope. Whoosh! Yi Shiwen's hand chopped off his head in an instant. His head flew into the air, and Yi Shiwen's disdainful voice seemed to be faintly heard in the midst of his head's disdainful voice. "Idiot, who will give you 3 years?" He never thought that Yi Shiwen would be so decisive and not give him any chance at all. Boom! The moment young Master Ghost Fortune died, his body finally seemed to be completely out of control. It lost its restraints and exploded all of a sudden. A terrifying expert at the 6th level of the Paong realm, or even the 7th level of the Paong realm, self-destructed. It directly tore a big hole in the sky, and the blood mist that filled the sky directly scattered into it. Yi Shiwen couldn't stop it in time. It should be said that he didn't have the strength to stop it now. The power in his body was almost completely exhausted at that moment. Even so, he still couldn't kill young Master Ghost Luck. It could be seen that his strength was far from enough. Without any hesitation, he stepped out into a golden light and directly flew towards the interior of the Divine Tomb. Now, in the interior of the Divine Tomb, except for some places that still had restrictions, the rest had already been broken. Otherwise, it wouldn't be long before he would encounter restrictions. Sure enough, not long after he left, Dai Jibai and the giant thunder beast appeared at the place where he was just a moment ago. What kind of cultivation did they have? They immediately judged that young Master Ghost Luck had been killed. Their faces immediately turned ugly. They didn't expect things to turn out like this. Young Master Ghost Luck, who had swallowed the chi, was still not a match for them. Has this kid already grown to this level? No, we can't let him go. Otherwise, there will be no place for us in a few years if this goes on. The giant thunder beast roared. Its loud roar shook thousands of miles. Chase after him. We can't let him escape. I don't believe that even if he can kill young Master Ghost Luck, he can't be unscathed. He can't be a match for us. Otherwise, he wouldn't have to escape. It's a pity that the leader's chi essence was wasted on a piece of trash. I thought that he was on par with Yi Shiwen, or at least on an equal footing. Who knew that there would be such a huge difference in strength? This is simply shocking. Dai Jibai roared angrily. He was even more furious about young Master Ghost Luck's failure. The leader of the Divine Union was a powerful expert, and his chi essence was extremely precious. However, it had all been wasted now. The two of them reached a consensus almost instantly and chased in the direction that Yi Shiwen had escaped. This was the Divine Tomb, where experts from all sides gathered. Even if the Heaven Wasteland Palace and the Divine Union joined forces, they wouldn't be able to cover the sky with one hand, let alone the others. Under such circumstances, they could only go all out. 3 days and 3 nights. Yi Shiwen had been chased for 3 days and 3 nights. He hadn't been able to escape, and his martial power had been exhausted. Very soon, the Thunder Beast and Dai Jibai had caught up with him. However, as his martial power gradually recovered, and with the help of the Phoenix regeneration technique, his recovery speed was extremely fast. However, he had already been chased by these two people. There was no way for him to escape. Although the Devil's Wings was a top-notch technique, his martial power was far inferior to these two people's. In addition, the strength of these two experts was at the 9th level of the myth realm. Their strength was much higher than his. Moreover, these two people were determined to get rid of Yi Shiwen this time. In fact, they intended to kill him in one go. They were like two mad dogs, desperately biting him. If this continued, perhaps Yi Shiwen would be caught by these two experts, even if he fled to the ends of the earth. Damn it! Since you won't let me go, then I'll send you to hell. Yi Shiwen's eyes flashed with madness. Since he couldn't get rid of them, then he would fight it out with them. Whoosh! Yi Shiwen's figure directly changed direction and flew out on the spot. The Thunder Beast and Dai Jibai, behind him, didn't suspect anything and directly chased after him. In these 3 days and 3 nights, he didn't know how many times he had changed direction in order to get rid of them. This time, they still felt that there was no difference from the previous times. However, they didn't realize that this time, Yi Shiwen had turned in a different direction from the previous times. He was going to a place that he had never been to before. Whoosh! 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 The three of them chased after each other and were flying at an extremely high speed. This kind of consumption speed was quite astonishing. The Thunder Behemoth and Dai Jibai intended to rely on their profound martial power to drag him to death. However, Yi Shiwen's recovery ability was far beyond their imagination. Even after 3 days and 3 nights of extreme flight, his martial power hadn't been exhausted. And in such a chase, the three of them directly crashed into a valley. Chapter 21:19. My apostle, come on, come on! A deafening voice resounded in Yi Shiwen's mind. This was the god whom he had deceived in the past. Yi Mo's methods were brilliant. Even until now, this god was still unaware of Yi Shiwen's presence. Otherwise, this god would not have kept summoning Yi Shiwen. However, Yi Shiwen had to be cautious and vigilant against this god. He would not obey the summoning at all. After all, he had not truly become this god's slave. Otherwise, it would be impossible for him to escape the summoning. However, the two people behind him were like two mad dogs. They were chasing after him without letting him go. It was impossible for Yi Shiwen to get rid of them in a short period of time. The consequences would be simply unimaginable if this situation continued. He gritted his teeth and directly led these two people in the direction of the god. As he got closer and closer, the voice in his mind also became louder and louder. He also understood that he was getting closer and closer to the location of this god. Suddenly, a valley appeared in front of him. He took a deep breath and understood that the time to decide the outcome had finally arrived. He directly rushed in one breath. Boom! In the valley, Yi Shiwen directly rushed inside in one fell swoop. In that valley, a matrix array was instantly activated, and the entire valley was shrouded in it. However, at that moment, Yi Shiwen was allowed to go inside. The Thunder Behemoth and Dai Jibai, who were following closely behind, directly collided with it. It seemed as if they had crashed into a steel plate. Fight! We must not let him escape, Dai Jibai said with an ugly expression. Yi Shiwen had escaped several times before. However, he had grown to the extent that it was difficult to deal with him. Now that there was such an opportunity, they must not let him escape. I have sealed the space. He can't even think of tearing the space to escape. The next step is to break this matrix and drag him out. The Thunder Beast angrily roared and said. He was extremely angry, as if he had been fooled by someone. How could he not understand that Yi Shiwen had lured him here? He was afraid that he had been fooled. However, Yi Shiwen did not know where he had found out about such a matrix. He had used this opportunity to escape into it. He can't escape. Although this formation is powerful, it can't stop us, Dai Jibai said coldly. The huge body of the mountain giant trembled slightly. A huge wooden stick appeared in his hand. This wooden stick shone with a mystical light. It was unknown what kind of divine tree it was made from. Boom! That incomparably huge wooden stick smashed into the formation and immediately caused an uproar. Even the void was trembling crazily. The entire surface of the formation was like the surface of a water surface, causing monstrous waves one after another. Boom! Immediately after, the lightning beast joined in the bombardment. It spat out countless lightning bolts that swept up and landed heavily on the formation. Rumble! In an instant, a series of violent explosions rang out in the void, causing the entire formation to shake violently. And Yi Shiwen, who had just broken in, also sensed the violent fluctuations outside. He thought that these two mad dogs were really unwilling to give up and wanted to behead him. His expression became even more unsightly. In the entire valley, an incomparably huge statue of a god stood in the valley, constantly blooming with dazzling light. An astonishing divine power was unceasingly rippling inside the statue. Yi Shiwen's cultivation had already reached his level. However, he still felt a kind of coercion crushing him from the bottom of his heart. Sure enough, although the experts of the myth realm were called demigods, even if they were demigods, they weren't gods. They were just demigods. Compared to a real god, there was still a huge gap. In the void, the incomparably huge statue of a god was constantly rumbling, and an incomparably loud voice could be heard. "My apostle, you're finally here." A golden figure appeared on that statue. It was a figure condensed from divine power, tall and majestic. Suddenly, it gave off the feeling that there was no more majestic figure between heaven and earth than this figure. God! Yi Shiwen lowered his head, but a bit of light flashed in his eyes. Although he had long been prepared, and it could even be said that he deliberately walked in this direction. In fact, when he saw the real God, his heart still tightened. "My gods!" he deliberately said in a low-key manner. Now, he still wanted to deliberately use the power of this god to eliminate those two powerful mad dogs. Naturally, he didn't want to be so obvious. "You're finally here." The golden figure's appearance couldn't be seen clearly, but it kept repeating this sentence. "You idiot! What kind of enemy did you attract? How did you attract two people of the myth ninth layer?" The voice of the god sounded a bit flustered, but more discontent and anger could be heard. Yi Shiwen's mind suddenly turned. "I'm afraid that something has happened to this god." The formation of the tomb of the god naturally means that this god has fallen. However, falling doesn't necessarily mean that this god is truly dead. Some powerful gods could still be resurrected through various methods. The means of the gods were far beyond the scope of people's understanding. Therefore, the people who attacked the tomb of the god often had to pay a heavy price. Even demigods would often suffer heavy losses when facing the fallen gods. However, the tone of this god was a bit flustered. Could it be that even two experts of the myth ninth layer couldn't contend with it? Or could there be other hidden secrets? All kinds of possibilities kept turning in his mind. There were too many possibilities. Even he himself wasn't very clear about which one it was. "I'm sorry, my god." Yi Shiwen's body trembled as if he was genuinely afraid. However, his heart remained unmoved. A fallen god wanted to deter him? How is this possible? He wouldn't have come here if he hadn't wanted to make use of him. What's going on outside now? Why are there so many outsiders coming here? That god asked angrily. "Reporting to my god. I don't know how these lowly mortals found out the location of my god's tomb. And they have the audacity to attack. I got the news and rushed over here as soon as possible. Please calm down, my god." Yi Shiwen's complexion remained unchanged as he replied. "Damn it, these lowly mortals." The god couldn't help but roar in a somewhat flustered and exasperated manner. Fortunately, they haven't been able to break through the core part of the tomb. Wouldn't it have broken my taboo if they had touched the god's shell? This god seemed to be plotting something. His tone was filled with anger. "I've been plotting for countless years. It wasn't easy for me to suppress that old King Tide song. Now there are finally signs of his resurrection. Now, it's going to be destroyed by these lowly mortals. This god was also a bit concerned. He was in a state of confusion. So, he started to ramble. However, he also provided Yi Shiwen with more information. His heart suddenly sank. This god is going to be resurrected? How is this possible? Wasn't he killed by Emperor Qin countless years ago? There was actually a possibility of resurrection. This was far beyond his initial calculations, especially the matter of him deceiving a fallen god. It wasn't a big deal to deceive a fallen god. However, if he were to recover to his peak, then there was no doubt that he would be discovered. When that time came, it would be a disaster. In the mythological era, blasphemers couldn't escape even if they fled to the ends of the earth. There were too many things that he didn't understand at all. My God, the most urgent thing now is to get rid of the two pursuers behind us, Yi Shiwen said respectfully. Indeed, these two annoying mortals are too annoying, the god said angrily. My god's messenger, are you willing to sacrifice everything for me? Yes, my god, Yi Shiwen replied on the surface. However, he was secretly thinking about what this god was planning. No matter what, he couldn't let the cat out of the bag. Moreover, he had to be careful. That's the best. That would be the best. Now I need a body, a brand new body, to be able to walk outside again. I think your body is not bad. How long has it been since we last parted? You have already grown to such a level. This is really a heaven-sent opportunity for me. Haha. Then even if I don't use the Resurrection Divine Shell, I will be able to create a new world and break out of the restriction of the tomb of the God of Sin. Haha. On the one hand, the tomb of the God of Sin protected the fallen deities from being harassed by the outside world. On the other hand, it was also a cage. Some fallen deities, even if they only had some remnant thoughts left, would not give up on resurrection. This was the means and obsession of the deities. They were immortal and invincible. Although the probability of success in the end was very low, there were precedents of fallen deities being resurrected in history. Unless their souls were destroyed and the tomb of the God of Sin could not be formed, those fallen deities in the endless sea of stars would also try their best to resurrect with their last remnant consciousness. The god in front of them was clearly a remnant of the god's will. It was relying on the power of faith from the remaining believers in an unknown plane to survive until now. That was why it wasn't with the god's shell. Instead, it was clothed on the god's statue. After saying that, the god directly turned into a monstrous golden light and rushed into Yi Shiwen's body. He didn't give Yi Shiwen any time to react at all. As my most loyal believer, you shall become one with me. Chapter 21:20. Boom! An amazing power poured into Yi Shiwen's body. It was the power of a deity. Even if it was only a small part, the energy was enough to shake the world. A majestic power majestically poured into Yi Shiwen's body. Then, an even more powerful consciousness directly poured into Yi Shiwen's mind. It wanted to obliterate his consciousness and fuse it with that consciousness. Yi Shiwen's face, which was supposed to be waiting for the fusion calmly, showed a disdainful smile. Idiot! Sure enough, the majestic power just poured into his body, and that mighty consciousness directly wanted to destroy his consciousness. At the same time, the mysterious space in his body and the enlightening mind ancient tree reacted almost instantaneously. The Mingxin ancient tree directly flew out a divine light, which shocked the invading consciousness. At the same time, the mysterious space directly emitted a mighty energy and directly smashed into the consciousness of the deity. Boom! How could this be? How could this be? The deity did not expect that there would be such a change, which was far beyond his imagination. Yi Shiwen had already thought of this. Previously, the old ghost of the emergence immortal exterminating saber wanted to rush into his mind and erase his consciousness, and use his body to be reborn, which was to be reborn in a shell. He, who had two mysterious existences to suppress his mind, was least afraid of such an attack. If it was a head-on confrontation, there might be some uncertainty, but it was just an attack on the spirit. For him, there was no easy solution. Don't touch me. What's all this nonsense? Break! This deity roared madly. The huge roar reverberated in Yi Shiwen's entire mind, wanting to break through everything. The defense line, jointly arranged by the Mingxin ancient tree and the mysterious space, showed signs of collapse. An inexplicable energy swept over. Stabilize! At the same time, Yi Shiwen also reacted in time. He shouted directly, and the crumbling defense line was instantly stabilized. In Tianyuan Mirror, countless Xian cores were burning and poured into the mysterious space and the Mingxin ancient tree. It instantly strengthened the power and directly suppressed the restless consciousness of the deity. But at the same time, the Xian core was also burning at an alarming rate, but as he continued to throw in the Xian core, the god's consciousness was actually slowly being refined by him. And every time he refined a little bit, he could feel that his realm had obviously increased by a notch. This was an amazing thing. If he could completely refine this deity's consciousness, he would get a part of the deity's inheritance and perception of heaven. For him, this benefit was simply unimaginable. However, although this idea was good, it was extremely difficult to achieve. It required a very long time. During this time, he must use the Mingxin ancient tree to stabilize this consciousness and spirit. At the same time, he must use the mysterious space to refine and analyze it. This process would consume countless Xian cores. Even if Yi Shiwen had made a fortune, it would still be very strenuous to bear the burden of such consumption. However, at this time, he couldn't care so much. Wealth was sought in danger. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. If he wanted to have a hope of achieving the Tao in the shortest time, he must do extraordinary things and be an extraordinary person. After the spirit was also fixed and isolated by Yi Shiwen, the energy that directly poured into Yi Shiwen's body was like a group of wild beasts that had lost control. It directly rushed out like a flood. Although this energy was insignificant compared to the peak of the deity, it was condensed from the power of faith over the past countless years. This power of faith was attached to the deity's statue, making it produce divinity. Therefore, after the deity's death, it could retain the last bit of self-respect. Even if it was in imminent danger, it was much better than directly dying the deity. And these countless years of power of faith directly poured into Yi Shiwen's body. Moreover, the power from the outside was constantly pouring in. It seemed that his body would explode. Melt for me, melt for me! Yi Shiwen roared and displayed the great art of melting. His whole body was filled with a shocking demonic aura. The demon wings behind him directly spread out, like the wings of the sky, incomparably huge. His whole body was surrounded by it. His whole body was tossing and turning in pain. He used all kinds of methods to try to contain this power. However, this power belonged to the deity. If it was another deity, there might be a way to control it. But if it was Yi Shiwen, he was far from having such an ability. Seal for me! Yi Shiwen roared. Countless spirit energies condensed in the void and transformed into a huge seal character. Then, it ferociously sealed his body. The surging divine power that had been very active suddenly quieted down. It had been sealed by his seal character. However, even if he had the word seal, he couldn't rely on his own strength to seal this divine power. He had to constantly burn the Xian core and use the boundless Lingqi of the Xian core to suppress this divine power. Yi Shiwen was constantly panting. This matter was far beyond his expectations. He didn't expect that the deity would be so cruel. He actually wanted to use him to be reborn and occupy his body. He didn't expect that the battle would end in this way. Damn it! You dared to betray me. You dared to betray me. I'll tear you to pieces as soon as I get out of here. That's my divine power. It belongs to me. That deity's angry roar echoed in Yi Shiwen's mind. However, Yi Shiwen knew that this god wasn't boasting. In fact, it was very likely to happen. If he couldn't suppress and refine this god, then it would be a disaster for him once he came out of this place. Originally, he thought that he still had more than 40 billion Xian cores. It was enough for him to use for a long time. However, if he continued to burn it like this, even if he didn't engage in a fierce battle, he might not be able to survive for a year. It was almost at the speed of hundreds of Xian cores per second. What was more terrifying was that this wasn't an instantaneous consumption, but a long-term consumption. If this continued, it wouldn't take long. According to his estimation, he might not be able to refine this deity in such a short time. In other words, he must now open up a new source of income, and it was imperative to do so. The only thing in front of him was the source of God, which was hidden in the core of the god's tomb and carried by the deity. Only by obtaining those divine source could Yi Shiwen continue to refine this deity without being devoured by him. In other words, whether he was willing or not, he must compete for those divine source. He barely controlled the restless power in his body and continued to refine it. He could feel that the power in his body was constantly increasing. This was using the divine power to cleanse his body and complete the most thorough transformation. After the end of the mythological era, it was almost unheard of that there were still people who could use divine power to refine their bodies. These people were almost all people who were favored by the gods. These people were born with incomparable strength, and in the end, they could quickly stand out from their peers. However, that was the deity's initiative to baptize them. Now, Yi Shiwen was half-forcibly imprisoning the divine power in his body. Ordinary people couldn't do it at all, and their body would explode on the spot. But for Yi Shiwen, it was not a problem. His tyrant body itself was extremely powerful. In addition, he had nourished his body with divinity all year round. There had already been extraordinary changes, and he was naturally different from ordinary people. At this time, he finally had a chance to raise his head and take a good look at the statue. This statue was carved with a demon god. The head of the demon god was a wolf, and the body of the demon god was in the shape of a human. He didn't know what race he was from, but since he could cultivate to become a god, he naturally couldn't be weak. No matter how weak his foundation was, after cultivating to become a god, he would already be different. In this group of divine tombs, besides the demon gods, there were demon gods. This was the battlefield where countless demon gods and demon gods from the Demon Coalition army who invaded the Heaven Realm fought with the Emperor of Qin. The result was also obvious. So many demon gods and demon gods were killed by the Emperor of Qin at that time. Even though the Emperor of Qin had yet to prove his Tao at that time, his power was close to an incredible level. It was far from what Yi Shiwen could guess and understand now. No matter how glorious it was in the past, it had turned into dust now. It was useless. While he was still sighing with emotion, there was a sudden, violent fluctuation in the void. The array that shrouded the entire valley suddenly exploded, revealing two huge figures. Dai Jibai and the Thunder Behemoth had already chased after him. There's actually a statue here, and it still has divine power. It's really great. The Thunder Behemoth's face revealed a somewhat greedy look, especially when he looked at the statue. This statue itself was made of extraordinary material. In addition, it had been immersed and transformed by divine power for countless years. It could already be regarded as a divine object. Even if it was used to smash people, it could be regarded as infinite power. Boy, for the sake of this statue, I will leave your corpse intact, Dai Jibai said with a cold smile. His face revealed a somewhat sinister smile. An incomparably huge wooden stick appeared in his hand. As he waved it, the sky collapsed and the earth sunk. The sky and the earth changed color. It was a very powerful divine tool. Haha, I will also spare you. I originally wanted to swallow you in one bite. The Thunder Behemoth also laughed and said in a very good mood, "But what should we do? I have no intention of sparing you." Chapter 21:21. But what should we do? I don't intend to spare you. Yi Shiwen's voice immediately awakened the two of them who were still immersed in the surprise of discovering the divine object. What? What did you say, hateful human? The Thunder Behemoth roared. He couldn't stand being despised by others, not to mention a human that he had never thought highly of. I think you've really lost your mind. You've completely lost your mind. You're actually not going to let us go? Dai Jibai's face showed a hideous smile. I originally wanted to leave your corpse intact, but you gave up this opportunity on your own. Don't blame me then. It's not certain who will let who go, and who will spare who, Yi Shiwen said with a cold smile. Boom! Dai Jibai, who was furious, had already taken the lead to attack. The huge wooden stick directly smashed down. It looked just like an ordinary wooden stick, and it was quite rough. It even looked like a big tree on the mountain had its branches chopped off, and it was directly taken out and thrown. But in an instant, countless wood attribute laws surged out, declaring his extraordinariness. In an instant, everything turned into a wood attribute world, like a kingdom. And at the moment when Dai Jibai made his move, Yi Shiwen suddenly felt that innumerable wood-attributed energy had gathered around him and was about to directly grab his body. However, he saw countless trees in the sky. Under the influence of wood-attributed energy and talismans, they began to crazily swell up. Their branches were like huge tentacles, directly grabbing towards Yi Shiwen and holding him in place. This was a simple and crude fighting method, but the simpler and more crude the fighting method, the more amazing the power. It was simple and direct, without too many tricks, so no one could escape. Whoosh! The demon wings on Yi Shiwen's back spread open, and he instantly evaded the entanglement of countless trees. But for a moment, more trees grew out of the void, forming a huge tree that directly grabbed towards Yi Shiwen. Break for me! The emergence immortal exterminating saber in Yi Shiwen's hand directly slashed out a shocking saber light, as if it wanted to cut the world into two halves, directly crushing countless trees that rushed towards him. However, even more trees chased after him in an instant, not giving him any chance to catch his breath. His range of movement was getting smaller and smaller, as if he could be forced to a corner at any time. At the same time, Dai Jibai's big stick kept coming down. Even Dai Jibai himself wasn't so anxious, because for him, as long as he kept forcing Yi Shiwen into a dead end, Yi Shiwen would collapse on his own in this way. He didn't need to do anything at all. Whoosh! Yi Shiwen shouted and took a step forward. The void trembled and countless golden waves appeared. At the critical moment, he directly avoided the entanglement of the trees. It was simply endless. What was even more terrifying was that Dai Jibai's big stick was like a maggot, following him like a shadow. It didn't care at all and directly smashed the sky and earth. No matter where Yi Shiwen hid, it was useless. Bang! Yi Shiwen spread out his hands and directly grabbed a golden wall. That huge wooden stick ruthlessly smashed on the golden wall, and incomparably terrifying golden waves instantly swept in all directions. That terrifying power directly integrated into Yi Shiwen's body. If Yi Shiwen was under normal circumstances, even if he wasn't blasted out, he would probably have to exhaust all his strength to be able to remove this power. But at this time, it was like a clay ox entering the sea. All of it was integrated into Yi Shiwen's body, digested and absorbed by his full body of divine power. And his body stood steadily in the void, not moving at all, not even the slightest bit. Dai Jibai snorted coldly. He didn't expect that his full blow could not hit Yi Shiwen at all. Old Dai, you actually showed mercy. Do you know how much of a threat this person is to you and me? If we don't take advantage of this time to get rid of him, when he continues to grow, there will be nothing left for us. The lightning beast was a little puzzled. Why couldn't Dai Jibai deal with a puny 4th-level Powong realm cultivator? This wasn't Dai Jibai's usual style. If the Divine Union leader was said to be an extremely stubborn person, then Dai Jibai was 70% to 80% similar to him. Once he had made up his mind, he would absolutely not go back on his words. Since you won't deal with it, then leave it to me. The lightning beast roared loudly. In an instant, countless thunderbolts appeared out of nowhere and directly fell down, turning the surroundings into a sea of thunderbolts. This was an incomparably huge domain. In this domain of thunderbolts, he was a god. That huge body of his made people feel extremely afraid when they looked at it from afar. Yi Shiwen didn't hesitate. He immediately unfolded his devil's wings and constantly dodged the lightning beast's attacks. The lightning beast's attribute was thunder and lightning. It was extremely fast, It had relied on this speed to defeat countless people. Almost in an instant, countless lightning bolts would fall down the moment Yi Shiwen flickered. They directly chased after Yi Shiwen and didn't let go, wanting to blast him to death. You do have some skills. Your speed is quite fast, but it's useless. We have already blocked you here today. You can't escape. The lightning beast opened its big mouth and suddenly formed a Yuan Qi bomb. Then, it fiercely blasted in Yi Shiwen's direction. This Yuan Qi bomb directly tore a huge crack in the sky and tore it apart in Yi Shiwen's direction. Boom! This Yuan Qi bomb, which contained the power of countless thunderbolts, fiercely blasted into Yi Shiwen's body. Endless smoke and dust billowed up, and endless energy waves swept in all directions, making it impossible for people to see what was happening inside. Who asked you to be so arrogant? You are still far from being able to stand in front of me. The lightning beast sneered. There was an almost ferocious smile on his face. He could imagine how terrifying the power of this Yuan Qi bomb was. Perhaps it could directly blast Yi Shiwen to death on the spot. But soon his smile completely froze on his face. In the midst of the endless impact of the Yuan Qi bomb and shock waves, a humanoid figure slowly stood upright. His face even showed a bit of horror and fear. He couldn't imagine how this could happen. It's impossible. Even a real sixth heaven of Powong realm expert would be killed by my primordial Qi bomb. Not to mention that he is only at the fourth heaven of Powong realm. Although he has shown great strength, he is only at the fourth heaven of Powong realm. In the myths, although this strength is not weak, it is still far from it. But now, Yi Shiwen took a direct hit from him and did not die. What should I do? I said that this time, I have no intention of letting you go. Just in time, let's see how strong this power can be. Suddenly, as soon as Yi Shiwen's voice fell, a more majestic and terrible power flew out from the depths of the smoke and dust, and a golden aura directly rose into the sky. They couldn't be more familiar with this aura. Divine power. It is the power of divine power. The face of the thunder behemoth immediately revealed a somewhat horrified expression. They could only sense the little bit of divine power that Yi Shiwen hadn't had the time to absorb in the valley. It was completely different from having such a huge amount of divine power, gushing out all of a sudden. At this time, even the face of Dai Jibai, who seemed to be disguised as a mountain giant, showed a look of color. The power of the gods was terrifying to imagine. In the mythological era, people were not even allowed to mention the names of the gods behind their backs. This showed how terrible the gods at their peak were. If one did not prove his Tao, he was just an ant. Even in the face of a fallen god, he still did not dare to take it lightly, lest he came into being. How did the power of divine power fall on him? Is it the inheritance of this statue? The lightning beast's face turned ugly. At his level of cultivation, there was almost nothing that could be compared to proving his Tao. With his talent, it was impossible for him to prove his Tao steadily. Without sufficient fortuitous encounters, it was impossible for him to stand out in the end. But Yi Shiwen gave him another idea and opportunity. Damn it, hand over the divine power. This is not something that an insignificant mortal like you can collect. The lightning beast roared and took the lead to attack. The lightning and thunder in the sky directly turned the void upside down. He had completely lost his patience. He wanted to strangle Yi Shiwen to death and snatch the divine power. It is not up to you to say whether I am qualified or not. The smoke and dust gradually dissipated, and Yi Shiwen's original body was finally seen. At this time, he was holding the Emergence immortal exterminating saber in his hand. He directly slashed out with the saber. The light in the sky swept up wildly in the void, and fiercely slashed at the lightning hand condensed by the thunder. Boom! In Yi Shiwen's hand, Yi Shiwen's Emergence immortal exterminating saber, with the support of powerful power, slashed the lightning hand of the lightning beast and directly cut off half of its arm. One slash. It was just one slash, but it had such amazing power. Yi Shiwen could feel that when he slashed out with the Emergence immortal exterminating saber, a A surge of power surged out of his body and replenished every part of his body. It was a warm feeling. No matter how much quintessence he expended, there was still this powerful divine power supporting him. An unprecedented feeling of power descended upon him. Chapter 21-22. An incomparably powerful divine power was constantly surging in his body. Although it was forcefully suppressed by the seal character that burned countless Xian cores, it was only a part of the power that erupted, and it already made him feel that his power was constantly exploding. The attack of two Paoang Realm 9th level masters was easily taken advantage of by him. This in itself had already proved the problem. If it were him, it would be impossible to take all the attacks of the two so easily. The Thunder Behemoth and Dai Zhibai's faces turned ugly. Yi Shiwen's sudden increase in strength was beyond their expectations. It seems that you have swallowed all the divine power attached to this statue. It doesn't matter. You should have just swallowed it not long ago. As long as I kill you, the divinity will naturally fall into my hands again. The huge body of the Thunder Behemoth was faintly discernible in the void. It recovered from the slight panic just now, and with a slight movement, the earth trembled and the mountains shook. A top powerhouse like him simply looked down on the so-called genius warriors. There were only a few so-called geniuses who could rise up, and those who could pose a threat to them were even rarer. Boom! The Thunder Beast finally made its move. Its huge claws suddenly clawed out, and a mighty power of thunder pervaded the air. It transformed into a thunder kingdom in the sky. One could see that this power of thunder wasn't natural thunder if one looked carefully. Instead, it was condensed from thunder talismans. It had covered the entire heavens and the 10,000 worlds. It possessed boundless power and had directly sealed the entire space. So, Yi Shiwen couldn't escape and couldn't evade this attack. Yi Shiwen stood still as if he was scared silly. He let the claw with the boundless power of thunder fall on him. There were tremors everywhere, and even the void was torn apart. Just when this thunder claw was about to hit Yi Shiwen's body, the emergence immortal exterminating saber in Yi Shiwen's hand suddenly clanged, and a saber light appeared. Countless saber principles appeared in it, forming a mighty light. Under the urging of the divine power in Yi Shiwen's body, a mighty power burst out and suddenly slashed towards the huge claw. Boom! An incomparably loud rumble rang out as the blade light and the endless lightning clashed in the void, shattering everything and tearing the sky apart. Those thunderbolts seemed to be a little tired after the fierce collision. However, Yi Shiwen's blade light was getting stronger and stronger under the support of his divine power. It seemed as if it would never get tired. Originally, it was impossible for the emergence immortal exterminating saber to unleash such terrifying power in Yi Shiwen's hands. However, divine power was originally of a much higher level than real essence. When the power was unleashed, it was completely different. This was the first time the emergence immortal exterminating saber had completely unleashed the light that belonged to it. Kara, Kara, Kara. A series of shattering sounds came from the void. The endless thunderbolts were instantly shattered, and countless law talismans were directly shattered. Yi Shiwen's blade momentum didn't decrease in the slightest. It directly rushed towards the looming body of the Thunder Beast in the void. Whoosh! The blade light was extremely fast, and it slashed towards the Thunder Beast almost without any hesitation. The Thunder Beast's huge body didn't seem to have any possibility of evading it. However, in the nick of time, the Thunder Beast actually turned into a bolt of lightning and dodged the attack. It had been able to cultivate until now, defeat countless opponents, and become the current Deputy Union Master of the Divine Union. It wasn't just because it was big. When it reappeared, its entire body had appeared in the main plane and was no longer hidden in the void. That huge, pitch-black body was like an endless mountain range that covered the sky. It was as if it was a curtain of the sky. It was unimaginably huge. Beside it, even the mountain giant Dai Zhibai, who was considered extremely huge, wasn't considered much. Even Yi Shiwen, who was used to seeing huge, ferocious beasts, was a little surprised. No wonder it had to hide its body in the endless void. Such a huge body appearing in the main world was indeed shocking enough. You have some tricks up your sleeve. The blade in your hand is a little strange. It looks like a divine weapon, but it doesn't. However, no matter what it is, it will be mine. The Thunder Beast's huge eyes were extremely terrifying, and it carried a powerful aura of coercion. Yi Shiwen took a step forward and directly broke the coercion of this formidable, ominous beast. On the contrary, the tyrannical coercion on his body had actually affected this thunder behemoth and had forced it to retreat unceasingly. The Thunder Beast only had the bloodline of the ancient Thunder Beast. The bloodline wasn't pure, but Yi Shiwen had the bloodline of the Star Beast flowing in his body. It was a true, ancient, ferocious beast, a tyrannical race that was once strong enough to challenge the Dragon Clan. High-level demonic beasts naturally had a strong deterrent to low-level demonic beasts. Die! Yi Shiwen didn't hesitate. He directly crossed the space and instantly rushed to the front of the Thunder Beast. He directly chopped down the saber light. Under the blessing of divine power, the saber light was majestic, filling the world. The endless saber light intertwined into a huge network, directly shrouding the huge body of the Thunder Beast. The blade radiance contained golden divine power. It didn't even go through the conversion process and directly slashed down. He used all his strength to attack and didn't give the lightning beast a chance to turn the situation around. Because he was very clear that he could only be fierce now, but he was relying on his divine power to forcibly support himself. However, as more divine power was released, it was like a dam of 1,000 miles being destroyed by an ant's nest. A small hole would slowly spread, and it would cause the word seal to be unable to stop it. At that time, he was likely to self-destruct on the spot. More importantly, each attack would consume a part of divine power. Every time he used it, it would be less. He couldn't afford to consume it. So, what if you have devoured divine power? What's so great about it? The Thunder Beast wasn't a benevolent creature. He suddenly opened his eyes, and an incomparably terrifying light flickered in his eyes. A single horn suddenly appeared on the top of its head, and that horn was exuding circles of thunder power. And Yi Shiwen's blade light was smashed into pieces inch by inch. It was impossible for Yi Shiwen's blade light to injure the thunder behemoth, which was under the protection of the thunder. Thunder horn! Dai Jibai's eyes narrowed and suddenly opened wide. It's actually this move. Has he been forced to this point by Yi Shiwen? It seems that this kid is really a disaster. I can't let him live. Being able to force me out of the thunder horn is enough for you to die in peace. In this world, there aren't many people who could force me to this extent, and those who succeeded are all dead now. You can go down and accompany them, the Thunder Beast said. Its voice was like a great bell, deafening and deafening. My thunder horn is inherited from an ancient vicious beast. It is the symbol of the thunder god. You are dead. The boundless power of thunder spread out, forming an incomparably huge thunder swamp, a kingdom of thunder. Within this kingdom, he was the only ruler, the only overlord. And these thunderbolts were composed of more exquisite thunder talismans than before. They even contained traces of golden divinity. He had tempered the thunder of this swamp to an unimaginable degree. The power of his body was also getting stronger and stronger. Even his whole body was covered with a layer of thunder armor, looking violent and powerful. Thunderhorn? Yi Shiwen narrowed his eyes, looking at the thunder beast in front of him that was getting more and more tyrannical. Compared to before, it had improved a lot. Even in the 9th level of Paong Realm, there were few opponents who could rival it. This should be its true combat form. Today, you will pay for your ignorance. The thunder beast suddenly roared in a low voice, and its claws directly tore towards Yi Shiwen like a mountain range. A monstrous thunder power swept over majestically, directly tearing Yi Shiwen apart on the spot. Bang! An incomparably loud collision sound came, as if the world's hardest two pieces of gold and iron had fiercely collided with each other. Only such a terrifying collision sound could be heard. However, Yi Shiwen was not directly smashed to death. On the contrary, his hands firmly blocked the two giant claws that were tearing the sky. You think you can stop me? Divine power is not omnipotent. The thunder beast continued to roar, and the beast's claws suddenly increased the pressure. Crack! A crisp sound was heard, as if something had broken under this pressure, but it was definitely not Yi Shiwen's body. Boom! In Yi Shiwen's body, a majestic divine power rose directly from his body, like a flood, sweeping out with a loud bang. The terrible power of the claw directly disrupted the seal character in his body, causing the divine power in his body to surge uncontrollably. I didn't intend to deal with you like this, but since you are in a hurry to die, then I will fulfill your wish, Yi Shiwen said coldly. The divine power in his body was still constantly gushing out, and his whole body was completely covered by the divine power. He was like a golden god of war, extraordinary and invincible. He was also very clear that if he continued to let the divine power gush out randomly, he would be stuffed to death before he could kill the enemy. Therefore, there was not much time. Finish the battle quickly. He suddenly leaped forward like a bolt of lightning. In an instant, he had already flown out. He stepped on the power of the 5 elements of the universe, and the saber light of the emergence immortal exterminating saber in his hand was like a terrible mountain torrent, directly pouring down. Bang! This force directly slashed the Thunder Beast's body. The thunder armor was broken, and the whole person flew out. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.